instead. That's nice to see. So even though we haven't seen North Georgia really be able to march forward with a lot of convincing attacks, at least the back line up until now has been secure. Can't get the read on the bounce, and that's finally our first goal. 10 seconds to go for Kennesaw trying to close this one out.
Yeah, still with the pressure here from Kennesaw. Now only our second demo. This one from downtown, and that's going to be an own goal here at 3 seconds. We spoke a little too soon here, Danger Talk. Slavip left side, little tap, not really taking away possession. Now definitely does. This player going up, the double tap. Hugh Dog and North Georgia come from behind victory with the Puma symbol on the side.
As we have seen many time with new rosters in the beginning of the semester, this might be the first time these players are really playing together at all. So this is really setting the tone for how you guys all click together. Kwong trying to bury one here on the near post, and he does just that. Better. Be able to pad those stats. Kwong throwing it right back in. That should be open, but it's just wide instead.
Almost gets the nose down onto it. A couple members fighting, twisting, and now an open net the other way going for North Georgia. Nobody's almost hitting payload. Now is Joel. A little soft hit right there. Kind of just puts it in the breadbasket of a couple North Georgia players. That's really, really bad as this one comes all the way down from the other side. Being able to con the defense out of a clear that gets you the ultimate goal, as we will be able to enter into that 1-1. Maybe not for long as that clear gets away. Hugh Dog into Archie, and well worked from North Georgia. Safe to the side. They're feeling like heroes. They're keeping it up. Slavip into the ceiling. Sharky doesn't get it. Joel with a deflection. It's Quonk at 0. Hugh Dog in the way. Another save. North Georgia will very much so take that ball hitting the grass. Overtime somehow. Now coming up for the serve. Hugh Dog down. That's a bouncer just a little bit too high though as Sharky tries to continue the theme. Down bottom. And Archie does it here for North Georgia. Set up all day long. Now shoots in right now, but Quonk is going to win that 50. Seems screaming off to the side. Bounce off some wall and now in the middle until North Georgia gets another shot at it. Let's be open for Hugh Dog, and they will make no mistake. Kwong, I gotta say, a great effort, but sometimes you need something even greater. You're seeing a player get thrown all the way across, like Joel's really just flailing, and you're thinking, okay, well, I probably have enough time to go to the corner, and then instead, it is in your net, something they're becoming quite familiar with as a feeling. There's number. Demo does come through, those Hugh Dog taking down a Kennesaw State member. Back to the middle, screaming up to this one, now to the left side. All three members right here. This is a very bottled up defense, and Sharky takes a bite. No one even there because, frankly, I think Kennesaw thought that bounce was going to be going a different direction. Same maybe with the defense here for UNG. They can't read it. Slavip does. It's 1-1. They were actually on the far side waiting for an awkward touch and then dove in and actually used their flip angle to throw it right back in the middle. Of course, I'm talking about them. And meanwhile, it's just Swiss cheese for Kennesaw. They're getting sliced through by the blade that is the UNG attack. How about Joel trying to show them how it's done? It's a little bit too soft, a little bit of a double commit even. Quonk near post, that's a miss. Slavip, that's a miss. Joel, that's a miss. Everybody swinging at it. Get these people some corrective lenses because it's Sharky on the far side with the clear vision from the teammate. My goodness, my heart.
And there's really no need for them to. There's only one way that they can come in. This is perfect execution, and with all 5 members left up standing, they only have one opportunity to get in there. Raga, 3 kills on the board, make that 4! Raga on fire already in a flawless first round here. Raga. As much as I respect this B wall being put here, the problem becomes is that they have the weapons to really mess things up. Oh, Asafai not clearing the corners, up in the air. No way! Sunflower still walks away before finally being taken down with 2 kills. Gonna blast them right in. Parker's gonna try and find it. 2 concussed in heaven, but they're not gonna get any advantage out of this breach ultimate. Beautiful from Kilovati. What a way to fight that out. And now wrapped in it, the nightmarish embrace of Glore.
Welcome in, everyone. It's time for a good old Tactical Tuesday. It's Esports U Live with some Valorant action coming at you hot and ready tonight. I'm Hail Monkey Man, but don't worry about me. We're in the booth alongside Crafe, who is bringing all the spice of life to you and yours. Of course, collegiate action coming at you on a wonderful weekday. That means everyone better be studying out there because Crafe's got a lot to say, especially about how you're going to be successful today. Crafe, how you feeling? It's Valorant time. We got to be able to get into some awesome collegiate action.
You know what? It's been a while since I have actually done anything analytical because I'm on my coaching break. But, we've taken a different spin. Instead of the coaching, we've come back to casting for a little bit. So good to be here, especially week 2 of ECAC. So I get to get back on that action. And seeing these two rivalries today that we have lined up in this BO3, definitely going to be an exciting one.
It's definitely going to be great. You got RPI, that's Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute of the Engineers. You may know Puckman as their mascot, literally just RPI. Not very creative for engineers. But on the other side, St. Francis Red. They're going to be the Red Flash. Maybe they're going to be able to find enough to continue their current, from week 1 to week 2, undefeated streak. And we were talking about it in the green room. The last time these two programs, maybe not these specific teams because things change up, but these programs faced off in April in the playoffs. It was, in fact, RPI that took the big win over St. Francis. So maybe a little bit has been cooking. Have you seen anything from your side when we really think of, like, maybe the big patches, the big changes? All I've seen is that they're really trying to enable smurfing, but that's 7.07, so...
I mean, perhaps that we're flipping the script today, right? Like maybe RPI is not taking this one tonight, but speaking of the engineering, right? RPI could be Raspberry Pi. We might have that that nice tech reference there with the university name. But either way, tonight's going to be an interesting one. We've come back, new season. These two are coming back head to head again, and with the new map changes, the patch changes you sort of mentioned, these changes coming through from Valorant itself can or cannot make and break these teams.
Yeah, very well can. We've seen a lot of duelists that have been taken to the children and said, hey, it's your time to shine. Jet is no longer the front runner. And then everyone else has a giant AoE type of ultimate. Well, it takes one extra ultimate point to be able to even get there in the first place. But let's see exactly where all of the battlefield will be laid out. If I was going to lie to you, it wouldn't be here because the Collegiate Classic of which maps we're going to be seeing is on lock. It's Ascent, it's Bind, it's Haven. It's your most played, most ornamented, and most visited maps pretty much in the game. Ascent to be starting off in our alphabetical order. Thank you for the producer for letting me know that that was happening because I cannot read. But something going on to this map. I have to point this out right now, Crafe. It was St. Francis Red. They were able to beat WSU in a 2-0 sweep last week, but they went 40 rounds, 21-19 to beat them on Ascent. So you could say they're well practiced.
You could say that's one thing. I mean, that 40 rounds, surely that's setting some sort of record for us at Esports U. But either way, this could be a show today if that's what we're going to have for these maps. So I'm definitely excited for that one. Thank you for pointing that one out.
Of course, yeah. And this is going to be a fun one regardless. So we will be going to Ascent, and you're going to be able to see your awesome players coming at you. And it could be that we get all the way to map number 3. Haven is one of my faves, and I love seeing the 3-site mix-up. I don't know, Crafe, I like seeing Lotus, something messy in between, and then a Haven, maybe some opposite of that. Do you like 3 sites, or are you all about the 2-site kit?
You know what? It's really interesting because you have Haven that's definitely like a much wider sort of map, and then you have Lotus as well, which is a lot more crouched in, right? You're really about that space taking on Lotus, and Haven is less sort of space taking, more how are you going to enter site? How are you going to keep that space? So, of course, you have that disparity between Lotus and Haven, and 3 sites, yes, but definitely way different map, compositions in general, locations, everything in between. And the agent pools are going to be different, of course, across every team. So, again, I always say this, the disparity between all of the team's general strats and compositions, they're definitely ones that are brought to the table that are always going to be interesting to watch. So, Haven is one of them. Hopefully we get to see some Lotus in this series, and we go for it.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we ever get to see that in the future. For right now, we head over to the old, just tried and true Ascent. Ascent is going to be bringing us big into, I think, controller play. I mean, obviously, you get the big extension of what you can do off of your initiators. I think we've seen the meta still be the meta. I still play as a Sova on these maps, and even I can find dubs. Maybe these players will do something of the same, but I see a lot of that flex off the initiator position. And sometimes, in recency, actually, in the last week or so, I've seen a lot more players not go to the Killjoy by default. They've done a little bit more Cypher play, and that's currently what we see floating.
Yeah, we've got that segue coming into that Cypher. Yeah, it was really impressive to point that out. But again, Fade, going back onto that on the defense real quick, having Fade as well back on Haven is not something that I have commonly seen in general. So we are going to see how this overall comes together. Looks like they sort of leaned away off that Cypher, unfortunately. We got a little bit excited there. But either way, still a decent pick.
Very true. And also, I've been playing a lot of Cypher when it comes to Breeze. Breeze not in this current map pooling. You're not going to be seeing that. Or Sunset. I think everyone's still trying to figure out what in the world Sunset even is. It's very close proximity. Everything looking pretty kosher. You're looking over at RPI. That's been the meta for a while. The key wrinkle and difference really here is going to be that fade. So you're not going to have the same type of at least distance reconnaissance that you can get, especially for post-site planting off of a Hunter's Fury that you get off of Sova for this defensive hold. It's going to be a bit more aggressive, especially working from those grasps and just off her util.
Yeah, definitely. And of course you have to be considering how that sort of leveling, now that we've got the Killjoy coming on, now we've got the Fade sort of being reintroduced, especially with that KO pick. Just speaking on that left-hand side, of course, of our two teams, having KO come in with Fade, those combination utils, they're always going to help you in some way or another. And having combo util with any agent, with any pool, is always going to be a useful one, as long as you stay inconsistently consistent.
We see a grasp plus pulse frag grenade go out, or will simply you get stared in the face by Casper's ghost off that haunt. Either way, Ascent will be in our windshield right now as we're driving straight into game number 1. RPI, they want to find their first victory if they can so do. They actually lost the first couple of maps to GWU, and they went 4-13, 8-13. So not exactly your great first steps to start off the season. But for St. Francis, they want to stay undefeated. They were looking pretty good. Obviously, very well practiced going on to Ascent. I don't think after you've played 40 rounds, it's at that point it's just you're sleepwalking, Crafe. It feels like there's nothing left to do.
You're sort of going in blind, but still managing to stay alive. Yeah, I mean, with Ascent being around for so long, either way, I think every team is able to do that in one way or another. But, you know, especially in ECAC, you've got this straight off the rip.
All right, so we do go into the first round of play, and obviously kind of see your dynamic setup here. You do have work in through both a dark cover as well as a bit of this denial util. They push away the Jet, and they're going to be hunting them down aggressively. Rymaster, they're going to enter a bit dry, and they get a nice classic kill, and those are just straight from Marketplace. A BOGO to go. They've already found 3, and site is pretty much secured. They're going to have to try and retake the red flash coming in from CT.
And now things are starting to chill out a little bit on that plant, given the smoke has come down over on the CT side. You've sort of got to hold down, just get that general information, wait for the walkouts to come through. And that's exactly what Scorch is trying to do for SFU. For that retake, here it comes.
Let's see if they can get the Prowler to see anyone. A bit of a wiggle. They killed the momentum on that little ghosty, but they also have the one-way. That was so clean. And now all of one remaining. Dig trying to dig their way out of a rough situation, but a 3K to start it off for Lord Bowling Ball. Well, they are able to get a strike as RPI. They claim round number 1. And that one, hey, it's just regular navigation through Marketplace that really opened everything up.
Yeah, I know, and when it's, you know, you don't really have a Sova here for SFU, right? So they're going off that Scorch ability and having Fade to just go through on the haunt, see what you can get on site, but the wallbangs inevitably got them. I mean, RPI really had the wallbangs up their sleeve today with that one-way even, which did come in somewhat clutch for both teams in one way or another, but, you know, coming through here, it's really important to notice.
And all these walls are paper thin. That's what I love so much about it. Oh, and so is Doodle, as they will drop to the ground almost immediately, trying to get aggressive to go and meet RPI at the point of their attack. And this is the gamble stack here on A. Everyone in the same slaughter pit. It's a bloodbath. Oh. And they've already bought up onto this Phantom. You have one creep around Mako, see if they can get any extra damage. A nice dink to sink them. They do get 2. That's all they're good for. I mean, it's a fast round.
It is a fast round. I mean, it's not something you're typically seeing, right? RPI had gone for that full force, and they managed to use their guns usefully, right? We could have seen their reverse sweep anti-eco from SFU, and that was just something that RPI played with. They had really been prepared for it, and we'd seen that been executed really well. But now we're on a bonus for RPI, so this could be SFU's comeback.
And I often see people get called weirdos for buying that rifle aggressively into second rounds. I know that you've seen it too, but it's kind of an all-in, all-out sort of idea, because if you lose that rifle, you've given that up to your opponent who is on a much lesser buy. So that one does come out to the benefit of RPI. Now St. Francis are going to be in a position where they have to make this rebound, but there are 2 rifles already online for the Red Flash. They're testing mid, and they're actually poking around just outside that alarm bot and maybe another marketplace rush.
Here we go now. Again, things have gotten a little bit quiet, but we're seeing a bit of mid progression here from both RPI and SFU. They're still holding up, being as reactive as they can, so they're not giving up their positions. Now they're preparing for it.
Outside, the dark cover will go down. They're going to try and play some late util as they do put the swarm grenades, thinking that anyone might walk on by, but they are repelled. Still the spike just outside of B main. You have the quick teleport, and that's actually Lord Bowling Ball there. Lucky there's no one peeking at that moment. They continue to test and just see what strength of this defense exists for St. Francis. They've been able to get the current player advantage. And they're waiting on this time right now, Crave. They're trying to see if they will have just enough, maybe burst back onto site, but no one is biting on this defense on the possible rotation. They're going to try on the rehit.
You know what? It's almost like exactly how you said, they're limit testing now. And they're approaching site here. We've got Dick still watching that angle as needed. But time is running out. Time's of the essence for RPI.
Well, they've left themselves with basically no time to be able to get through. It's going to be a bunch of flashes. You're going to have the spam. And 2, 3 done on the walkway. They simply started as quickly as they stopped, and no one able to make it through. So you left yourself with so little options. What kind of paused them there? I mean, the decision making, did they think they just didn't have enough time to re-navigate over to A?
And you've got to love that information that SFU had, right? Like, they knew, based on Tile's locationing, they didn't have enough time to inevitably go to A, right? You don't have a lot of time in general. So having that limit test attempt really didn't come through, and that setup is definitely something to take note. That was a good thing of SFU.
Now it looks like we'll have more of an A position off of this one. The previous one RPI tried to post up with ended up just being Gangs of New York style. Everyone came out snapping and dancing and ready to go, but this is a true first rifle round here for game number 1. They're going to be all the way back. You do actually have that Omen position deep into Wine. So if we do not corner check off of this, it could be pretty deadly. You do have Mako ready to ruin them, but Rymaster, I don't know, they're all being tested. You will have a bit of extra util committed to this, and it doesn't look like Mako's getting at all looked at. He's going to have the paranoia. It's basically got a shooting gallery. Only comes away with 1.
And maybe that was something that was good to capitalize on. Despite only managing to get that 1, it could leverage in terms of scaring RPI inevitably. To be able to watch and make sure that they're not doing this again.
Yeah, right around the corner from each other, and you have that quick duel happening in tree, and they still have the man up. Or Bowling Ball going to teleport to safety and too quickly being blinded out as they make their landing. Oh, Hawkfrost from a do-or-die position. Quick flash off the back wall, trying to enter. Sky's not left with much, and a 1v4 that seemed basically unwinnable. And at first, St. Francis, it looked like they were in a great position to receive RPI, but they were snuffed out, even off of the paranoia to be able to make everyone short-sighted. They just couldn't get more than that first pick, and that ultimately just turned things around for RPI.
Hey, I got to give the credit to Skies for being so cool with that extra flash off the wall, right?
That was
You're
cool.
not seeing that too much, but RBI was really just able to take that space, right? They had that main area. They weren't really playing all back off site, and that's the problem with attack on the post plan. You really got to know when you're playing all on site, when you're going all or nothing.
I like being able to find someone off of a flank position too, just creating the dynamicness of that sandwich, just creating a little bit of chaos, a little bit of doubt for your opponent to have to deal with. Rymaster actually will walk through this pulse, a very ballsy idea, as they just thought maybe they could be able to get beyond the majority of the damage. RPI is losing members very, very quickly, and even though they're on the thriftier buy, you still have the same sort of situation that's panning out right here just 2 rounds ago.
Yeah, again, it's getting a bit quieter, but let's hope that that time running out isn't really going to happen for RPI again. They do have that round advantage, but that could easily go away, right? They've got that sense of security that they could have been launched into by SFU. That could easily get reversed. Now time, again, it's sort of coming down to the essence, and they're taking their mid spot, but mid isn't necessarily going to be able to get them to a site unless they are especially meticulous. It is a 4v3, but that 3 can easily turn into 3 enough, and those 4 go down to 1.
They don't have any extra kind of intel. They took away the alarm bot from mid, and the entire kit for that Killjoy is actually set up on A, so that's why they've leaned 3 around here. But Tim is going to send Doodle to the grave, equalizing the entire measure. That knife did not exactly go where they wanted it to. Hot flash, hot hands, and hot death as Scorch is finding a couple, and they are going to be blind picked straight through the dark cover. The spike is picked up, but there's not a lot of other options. Mako around this corner. Steve will not be able to down check it, and you're basically left between a rock and a very dead place, and that's going to be SFU with a great response.
Really important to notice how that 2v1 came straight in from a 4v3. Those numbers were really easy to come down, but that vigilance, that holding from both teams being able to be that reactive, and then henceforth coming on site, I'm just a little bit concerned that RPI doesn't quite have that time remaining and they're not being as vigilant as they need to be to keep it up. Now we're at 2-3, it's sort of coming together again.
They haven't really wanted to test anything from tree. Maybe they don't want to get caught as well on that mid-rotation over into catwalk. And that just seems to be at least a point of concern for them. They haven't tested it out. Know that there's at least a few gadgets maybe that St. Francis wants to drop down out there, but you get the audible intel. They take that ult orb, and they're going to try and build their way on because the No Fun Police siren is out. No command active online. The swarm grenade will deny them for the time being. They're going to try and do a flash pick straight out for the dark cover as they burst on a site dig. All those little gizmos and gadgets aplenty are now just metal and scrap, and they're going to be able to get this plant down.
Now that bomb has come down, but you've got a lot of util, right? You're really pushing SFU back here, trying to get that advantage back, right? It's sort of a round deficit here as you come closer. And Doodle's just not caring, not a care in the world, going with the Blade Storm. But alas, the positioning of SFU is still seeming to pay off at the moment.
Well, for right now, you do have attackers all down in hell, and Skies is not going to be able to use any more intel. They hear the couple of hops down from off of the box, and Scorch right around the corner, having to battle a turret and others from down a distance in mid. That was rough because you know that you're basically being tattled on by this turret above you, and it's doing some chip damage while you're just trying to find others from distance away. But RPI, they make a swift run of it, and they just crash on a site. Good use of that ultimate.
And now that round deficit's not really there, but being able to take advantage of those high corners, which is what I love about Ascent, right? You've got Generator right there, you've got that turret right on top, you don't have to be putting it on the floor, and it's catching the enemy off guard. It's like Minecraft, where they're telling you not to be at a lower ground than the spiders, right? It's like exactly that with the players and the util here. And both teams are sort of honing in on it now.
See, no one told me that. So, shout out to all the people that gave all those hints. I should have watched my YouTube tutorials, but this is also a full gamble switcheroo, as you had a thrifty eco coming in for St. Francis yet again. They've been kind of stuck in the cycle of suck when it comes to wanting to buy things, and they went out to mid to meet no one. Now RPI has a free site, but here's the big victory right now for SFU. They're fully contained. They're in one spot. Here is the losing side of that. There's a lot of guns that they have to run against, and I think they got sheriffs.
You know what is really interesting that RPI managed to get through initially, and it's a little bit scary. Now we can see that SFU clearly came around here, especially with this eco coming through. They had sight easily. That was a little bit of a warning sign, like, uh-oh, what's going on here? There's no enemy on site. And it's working pretty well. SFU's on a pretty decent eco right now.
It will be saving for later. That's RPI. They came into B site. They were able to dodge any sort of hinting to St. Francis of where they were going to go, except for, well, ultimately landing in the mud and then putting that bomb down. A couple did drop for the engineers, but otherwise, that was just a pure eco, seeing what numbers they could get off the board. I think we had a 3K yet again out of Lord Bowling Ball, who is looking pretty steady so far. Opposite of all that, you also have quite a few ultimates online from the shadows on both sides. A null command for Skies to be able to get some of that retake. You combine that, if you really want to, off of a Nightfall. St. Francis is actually in a pretty strong position, I'd say.
It's really impressive that SFU had done that eco run through as early as they did, right? And now we've got the ultimates coming through. Attack has gone straight onto side. Even though SFU now has full buy, they haven't taken side back yet. But it doesn't matter about the visibility. They're just going through the picks without any vision.
Who needs vision? The null command as a last battle cry by the battle bot into a 1v1. Rymaster, they're left into it, but Mako is coming out taking big chomps. Seeing if they can get quickly to their teammate, but no revive to add to the stat sheet, nor to give them maybe an eco save for that gun. So you did see a null command at the very last second. The Nightfall used early, maybe just to dissuade RPI, but they just didn't seem scared at all.
I don't think a single player had vision that round. I'm honestly, between all of the eyesight icons and everything with the smokes and the flashes that I just saw, I think that was a blind round.
Look, eventually everyone will stop staring at the sun and maybe turn on a light or two in a key place. I, for one, embrace our dark overlords, okay? I don't want to see anything ever again. But either way, RPI continues to hound A site. They are forcing St. Francis to have to rotate a bit earlier than they would like. You do have the lockdown that's actually expended into this tight corner, but that doesn't clear full sight either. Mako, a little bit late to the party. As they do retreat, you're going to have a counter lockdown getting used by St. Francis into this 3v4.
Ooh, and that extra Hunter's Fury really coming with those lockdowns. I mean, it's not uncommon that you're seeing Hunter's Fury with the lockdown, but in that order with the bomb not even down, it's just under 50 seconds almost. And there's a lot of action here, 3v3 coming up, and we're taking fights mid-top.
RPI continues to have the timer be one of their worst enemies, but they've been able to now clear the board of a couple, and they're actually looking at options to just go straight mid. Sky's in a position that they could maybe take them by surprise. They give away their position a bit too early, though, and Hawk Froster die, or of die? I'm not sure. Either way, they find 4. And RPI slowly being able to build them up and closer and closer. They just find that bit of distance, and it looks like they're building really more into this first round. They got 3 rounds left.
It's almost like momentum, if you will, and hopefully these 3 rounds are going to get the most made of by SFU, right? The engineers surely won't have that advantage of them any longer, right? You've got that fade, which is not quite different to that Sova with the mirror composition. But either way, they still have chances to hone in on it.
They really do. So, continuing to poke prod. You gotta wonder about this conditioning, because right now RPI has been to A, I think the last 4 rounds as their starter kit, and now off of an eco situation. Tim is gonna walk away and get shot in the back, and they have just enough time, but maybe not just enough HP to walk back to spawn. So that's a weapon upgrade. It becomes a 4v4. A side is free, and they're definitely gonna go and grab that rifle. I wanna see how they build off of this.
I think getting picked off there is unfortunate, yes, but actually hats off to him for not dedicating to that fight, right? We're seeing a lot of fights getting dedicated to just because, you know, even just how the human brain works. Like, oh my gosh, I see a threat, I'm gonna go towards it, right? But this time, Tim had sort of fallen back, low HP, needed some support. Just unfortunate that he got picked off in the end. We would have been really interested to see how that planned out.
Right now, you do have the tech one way. They put a turret down as well as dark cover, and so Lord Bowling Ball and the gang, they'll be able to escape. No one there in that back corner as they do kill it off with their own swarm, but now they're gonna have to just walk their way in. You're talking about a blind round. Well, that's basically the last 3 make it the 4th as a team ace. Everyone in RPI good for at least 1. And I hit him with the paranoia. You have to be able to walk through electricity. It's just crash and burn right there. And St. Francis, I mean, they were definitely on an eco, but RPI is starting to just pull away.
It's a big round. It's a team effort. It's a flip the script. It's everyone's blind on A yet again. I'm seeing some sort of pattern, God forbid. And that was one of the eventful rounds, right? We don't have a lot of rounds left before the half switch, so really important to be taking note of this. And especially with the eco right now, the state of SFU's eco is looking questionable.
Very much is. Mako has lucky 7s though. 7 kills, 7 deaths, 7 assists, and they got there from the shadows. I want to see them turn this right around, but now we have flipped swiftly sides of the map for this null command. You have the tailwind up. Hawk is trying to close that door. Another cloud burst. It's very short, but it's brief enough to get the job done. They have 1 out in marketplace, and there's actually full control this time being for V4. Make it less as they get their doppelganger. Dig is able to get rid of Stevatron, and you don't have any extra intel that can be gained off of that haunt. Still have that 0-point knife. Doodle's gonna try and creep around from the hut, and they're gonna put that paranoia out there. Maka's gonna try and clear mid-sight. That was beautiful! Doodle has one person left to kill, but they're running around the corner from each other, trick or treat! Oh, that's so swifty! St. Francis, with only 2 rounds left in this first half, they needed this one desperately.
Doodle's little flick of the wrist really coming in clutch there. I mean, that movement is definitely something you're not seeing every day. I guess hats off to whatever energy drink Doodle down before this game.
Is it a?
But now we're.
Is it a monster?
Go on.
Maybe how they're monstrous in that round? I don't know. I'm not branded. Not
Perhaps a
sponsored.
G Fuel.
Ooh.
The classic gamer drink, of course. But think about our econ real quick. It's still not looking too safe at the moment. They're still going for their full forces though.
Yeah, they've got to buy into this one. It's the last of the first half. You do see Hawk. They're finally investing into an operator. And this one, I mean, they're not going to be finding an early pick, at least from this corner. This would have been a very cheesed pick to be able to get anything from. You have a Blade Storm in opposite of them, but that's going to be the same. Oh, it's Ego v Ego. You have Blades, but you still have an operator just waiting for a single peek. And that's going to be Dig. Well, they've dug themselves their own grave. And now looking for more Doodles right around the corner. They had to use at least a couple of those kunai just to be able to break down that barrier. And Doodle's going to be in a rough spot. Odin will get the clear. But actually, it's Skies that takes out Hawk, and that's a big player off the board.
You know what, that Jet v Jet, you know, that's the art of it. Maybe I'm just scared of conflict, and that's why I'm telling all my my teammates to play Raze instead of Jet, but really coming in through here, the Blade Storm, the Operator, those typical forces of Jet as an agent is showing the true art here. But Lord Bowling Ball, no Blade Storm for Doodle anymore, just knocks it straight off.
Oh, Lord Bowling Ball trying to get a spare, but they'll be turned into a gutter. Skies doesn't have much left in that HP, so they're gonna drop. This becomes 8-4. We will flip halves, and the chaos now has to be controlled by the engineers of RPI as they go on to defense. But St. Francis, I mean, obviously we talked about Eco. They were stuck in like this really bad cycle that entire time. Got to see how that gets balanced out. Do they get more aggressive going to this next half?
And even with that timing, you know, I mean, this is their second chance. This is both teams' second chance because it's really important to limit tests in those first few rounds. Either side, any map, to get the feel of what locations you do and don't need to keep an eye on. And that's something that it didn't really seem like both teams are really taking advantage of that ability, right? You only have 4 to 5 rounds at the start to be able to do that before you're like, this has to get serious no matter what team you're on.
I want to see how that works as well, utilizing this fade, because we've seen the fade be able to get some really nice positions for some extra intel. We saw the good x-ray as they went into hell and otherwise, but they just couldn't clear much from it. From an offensive standpoint, that's already a good first pick. Mako was able to get rid of Hawk Frost, who was just a demon. They were good for, I think, 15 at least. And now taking further control, this defense of RPI really just dwindling number after number, and not much left in the health meter for Rymasters. So this A site pretty much free, and they just found their picks when they needed to, unafraid of going both main and tree.
Still got that faith despite the 5v2. Looking like the util's a little bit down on both sides, right? They burned all that util through. And on a pistol round, it's not really something you got to keep an eye on. It's just a pistol round, but overall, it's not going to help on that retake.
Able to get at least one. Stevatron recognizing game, trying to be able to get one back out, but their partner dropped, entering from heaven. They knew that there might be that Killjoy all the way back corner out to Catwalk, because that's actually a nice position if you have one of those swarm grenade lineups as well. And it's just a great cover down outside tree. So St. Francis, they find their first necessary for, I think, them to get into this next half.
That's really valuable information, right? Like keeping an eye on the positioning of enemies and being able to adapt off of that, especially when you're in a tournament, high pressure sort of stakes. You've got to be watching how you're adapting to them less than working on your strategy.
Look at this. It's the opposite gamble stack of what St. Francis was doing on their defensive position. They're more around that back CT. They're more into that marketplace, seeing if there would be this stomping up mid. And while they're at least inviting and looking to it, they're not going to be going there anytime soon. Dark cover invested into the middle of the map. And so A is wide open. They don't quite know it yet. St. Francis is probably going to be just walking into an open area. But that's been sussed out by RPI, and it looks like they're trying to get their way there. Maybe just a slow rotation. Extra Spectres in hand. There's a lot of classics. This is a full-on shootout.
Damn, and this flip the script attempt has sort of got a bit haywire, but maybe it's good for the picks now. Not a lot of time to plant, making sure on this one. Oh, and the corner attempt, look at that one.
Got some COD jumping happening. See if they could just right-click Fiendom. They knew it was goofy looking, but getting guns out of the hands of these players was the key antic and tactic by RPI. St. Francis, they find the first couple. RPI now has to respond.
Look, and if you gotta go hardcore parkour to get your guns, I'm not gonna say no to it, right? You gotta do what you gotta do. Especially when you're trying to take an eco off and you're trying to do that anti-eco. It's really important, and I guess I gotta just give them hats off.
You see a Sova trying to right-click 360 no-scope you in the corner of A site. You know something's cooking. We will have an Odin on Rymaster, who is sticking with their Killjoy compatriot on B, so that's going to be an interesting position. Really has not been tested as of yet. They've leaned 4 towards A, and you'd have that one Killjoy of Dig out into tiles. They want to test Hawk. They have been putting down this one-way, a timer 2, and they don't initially just run straight into it. But otherwise, whenever you see them kind of going towards this position, they want to get Hawk off the board as fast as they can.
That attempt, being able to fall back there, really crucial, especially as a duelist on that defense. Just giving off side, right? You can't do much on the defense until everyone's over there. But Plant's gone straight down, they're not even faking it.
Oh, you will actually get a nice blind through the dark cover, and that's going to be a second one. Hawk Frost on the return. Mako will find 2. Mako has been that dedicated playmaker, even on an Omen. But, hey, we've seen the same thing from Lord Bowling Ball. This may come down to a 1v1 of Ghosties. It is the man advantage right now for RPI. Mako will hit the floor, and now it's a free defuse. Great re-entry. They check every corner, leave no angle unseen. Make sure to get that third round done of the second half.
And keep in mind, there's only technically 2 players from that round because our RPI Sova had gone a little bit disconnect that round. So still impressive to come back in a 4v5 essentially for that round. So hats off to RPI for that.
Okay.
Here we go with the tech pause. I think it's time to talk about the remote.
Yeah, okay, so the remote has several colors. In case you guys had no idea, we were flipping this remote that I have, which, by the way, was an awesome birthday gift for a 3D printed spike, from a Valorant spike. So shout out, it was so cool. Has several colors on it. But and what was crazy is because I played with this so much, I actually forgot what the actual color of the spike is. It's just white and black, right? Like they don't do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or it's red if you're diffusing. It's red if you're diffusing. You got to keep that in mind.
Okay, true. That's right. So I have done it right because I did it red a couple times. So okay, all right. I'm not too dumb. That's fine. There's a lot of.
And here I am imagining this like fat Comcast remote. No. It's like it's a spike remote. Like, oh, sorry for the flex, man. Damn.
Yeah, little remote. I don't know why I'm showing it to my camera like you were looking at. I know Colton was just like, man, Monkey Man, why? Why are you doing that? But either way, we do work through some tech. Yeah, I see smiley face. Mako right now seems to be working pretty steadily, I'd say, along Doodle to really open up some options, I think, for St. Francis. This squad has been maybe a step and a half behind RPI. RPI has just been able to execute a little bit more confidently, and it's looking like, well, all the work that was happening last week, St. Francis really needs to kind of bounce back from. Because remember, St. Francis, they had the 40-round ascent. Maybe they just got tired of it.
And it seems it's a little bit suspicious, I'll give you that, because RPI has been looking at quite a bit of a pinch in terms of time for these rounds, right? When they were on the attack, they didn't have too much. Oh no, we've come back from the tech. So hopefully, RPI is going to have that advantage now they're on the defense to not run out of time as much.
Everything dictated by the attackers, what they want to do, where they want to go. So much to do, so much to see, so what's wrong with taking the back street? Never know if you don't go. Never shine if you don't grow. That's going to be a quick shock dart that will be dodged by Doodle. As they do get their pick, they're going to at least give RPI the idea that they need to rotate over, but that is good mid-control. They move one back over into market. They're going to go and run out from door, but they put Mako all the way back site. Dark cover out. They don't have enough space to move around Stevatron, though, if they want to be able to swing out and get this early plant.
Oh, my coach heart is hurting right here, and Marco's just sitting there. You know what? The clear corners, it happens to the best of us. But now SFU's making that advantage, right? They'd fallen back. They did the pick on RPI. There it goes on that final team ace. They got that pick initially, Tree, and they just fell back. They had a quick vacation and turned it around. And again, that's what's really important. My little coach heart, again, is just sort of happy about that, right? The dedication to the fights is really what gets the best of these teams in this sort of tournament. And seeing that really get honed on again is great to see. And RPI, again, they've got a bit of a lighter buy now. They've been eliminated that round, but hopefully they can go for that objective, take the guns, go through against SFU, keep that advantage on that 2 round that they have, maybe make that round disparity a little bit greater.
Yeah, usually you see, maybe not usually, but you get that 2-2 outcome because of that next buy, but definitely going to be RPI operating with a bit less than what they want in their arsenal. A will be the thoroughfare that they're going to travel down, but you actually have Dig that's going to get rid of Rymaster all the way on the opposite side of the map. Oh, Doodle, you didn't even see him. Your twin basically doesn't exist. Get rid of Hawk. Tim is going to try and walk their way through. No one gets to have a front row seat to this spike plant. Now RPI left with just a couple, not exactly in the best positions that they want to be. Lord Bowling Ball still gets at least one, but they got 20 HP and a ghost. I don't know if there's really much, unless they're going to be swinging for the fences on some of these headshots.
Talk about a 404 access denied to that one, and now this retake's going to be a little bit difficult. Maybe not with the Marshal, but that firing squad is definitely going to take the best. Stevatron and Lord Bowling Ball coming through, but it was a nice attempt, right? You did sort of get one off and get a bit of the space. You know, those ecos are just going to be one of those days.
You're able to at least get one. You're good for one.
Yeah.
I'm starting to...
Hey, I've got that copium mindset,
Yeah.
alright? One is still one, alright?
Look, I've got a 0.95 KD because I'm often mostly good for one, okay? So
hey, you know what? You sit back at that point and you're like, I've got mine.
That's when it comes to the end of the round. And then I get one kill and I go and save. Oh, why are you saving with a shorty? I'm saving. Want this for later.
Go sit in the smoke. Go sit in the smoke is good.
Come and fight me. I dare you.
We're capitalizing.
St. Francis. They're one away on their own volition. Being able to get up into this fight. And again, Hawk is being just kind of deuced down here from Catwalk. Oh, just walking with your gun down. That's going to be Dig that's taken off the board, but Doodle does the same thing to Tim. So A, again, becomes a free thoroughfare for Plant, and RPI left having to retake. This has got to be a broken record for them. They got to hate coming from this position.
It's like Doodle's walking their dog right now. You know, like the Vandal's the dog, and the dog just like leading its owner. That's sort of just what we saw here on that tree pick, and that was really significant, especially to get that defense off and give St. Francis a little bit of breathing room, a bit of wiggle room to be able to just have those numbers, get the bomb down, go, oh my gosh, we can exhale now, go back on their mains. But again, that aggression on how many bodies you're keeping on site is going to be noteworthy. And it's great they've got enough bodies to be watching tree, and now RPI just got to sit back and save.
Recognizing that they don't want to be stuck in this cycle. Get what guns you got, bought into this round, walk away from it. And what was interesting, the timing was made possible and purposeful by St. Francis because they used the null command ultimate to be able to deny a lockdown placement by RPI. So they're like, nah, we're not letting you put that one from tree to walk through and open up sight. That's not happening. RPI respected that, and so they get to at least have a few guns for later.
And that's a huge thing to keep in mind. I mean, again, they could get that lockdown straight through this round now and be like, you know what, you took it off us last round, we're going to put our foot down now. And that's just something that can happen inevitably. But to have that advantage round-wise, to at least have, again, more breathing room to avert that lockdown a little bit more, that's totally fine as well. And now, again, it's a little bit slow-paced here because we've got guns on both sides.
One Bulldog that may be barking at everyone from this back corner. Stevatron, I don't know if they're going to panic swing on that lockdown. It seems like they are all on their lonesome, as you have the majority of the spread. A has been the conditioning by St. Francis to get them back to this position. They really have been on a tear on this attacking half. Oh, Doodle and the gang, they're double swinging together. Look, an efficient machine, well-oiled, trying to burst their way in. Mako will take a bit of extra damage, but you do not see Doodle fighting alone. They are double, triple, quadruple stacked walking onto the site.
Doodle's got that extra backup, and that's really paying off here. And that lockdown just gone from Stevatron. Maybe that's a good thing for SFU, because they don't have that Sova Hunter's Fury, they don't have the necessary, the mollies that you could really be using. You've got your KO mollies, but of course, there's only so many lineups you can do to get rid of the lockdown.
RPI committed to the save earlier when it was a 3v4, and now they're walking into a 2v5. They're able to at least get one away. Hey, Hawkfrost at least found some galvanization and just looking for good stuff for later. Using my big old words. St. Francis, they hit 10 first. Now, when you look at this, I would say from a coaching point of view, there's got to be a timeout being called here, because look at what they've taken into this half. 6 of the last 7 have all gone St. Francis.
I'm surprised that one hadn't been called last half either. I mean, you've got to consider the fact that, you know, these comps are rather similar, but either way, this slight deficit that's changed now, RPI is not really in the lead anymore, and that's something you've got to start being concerned about.
Gonna have sheriffs. They're gonna have just enough to talk about later. You got the marshals. You got Bladestorm. Good eco ultimate, but it's got to be Hawk that really turns that into something impactful. Right now, the only thing that's been impacting is bullets to their dome, and that's not something that they want to have to deal with. Dark cover gets expended, and you see some of these jump peaks. They can hear them, and then no one's right behind them, so they're at least able to get one. Mako off the board. Massive player, no longer there for St. Francis.
Getting those significant frags, you know, you've always got that one person that's going to make all the change in your composition, especially if, you know, that's your Killjoy with a lockdown, that's your Jet who you know has been opping on your opposition. Getting those significant frags down is going to be more important than getting 2 bodies down of people who aren't necessarily making that difference. You know, having that Jet to really enter you onto site, and then Jet's just gone poof, you know, leaving that responsibility to your KO, for example. That's never something a team's going to want to handle.
Actually having me be responsible for some of these kills, chaos. Should never happen. But Doodle, who was good for, I think, 4 into that previous round, will be tip of the spear for this attack. They do leave one dragging behind, trying to see if anyone will be sighted out from that B main, and I think some of that fight is happening, but you have 2 way out wide. They go to pick up 1 rifle, maybe they have that for this fight. Rymaster's able to get 1. Stevatron covering down in distance, but that basic Halo 2 rifle doesn't do much to get them anything, but they have a 2v2. Equalized after being on a thrifty situation. Scorch is gonna be close quarters combat. Wild West swing off the flash, and it's Tim that comes out the better as they're now traded out. 1v1 Skies!
Whoa!
Good cover down. That's 11 for the red flash.
And that's something, you know, I have been noticing through this game that a lot of these fights that you're having between these 2 teams going head to head are these fast-paced, high-fragging fights within like 10 seconds happening all at once. And I don't know if that's just typically something that both teams are used to from their last time they played in April, or if this is a new thing, or one team's being adaptive to the fact that these fast fights are happening. But it's something to be noteworthy of, because no matter what, if the situation is adaptation from either team or what, these fast fights and these slow frags initially are types of fights in the round that are happening commonly, and something that both teams are being able to pick up on.
Oh,
What a miss.
yeah. Talk about your fast fights. Hawk wanted to immediately punish anyone that wanted to make that peek, but they went a bit too much ego. They wanted the op headshot. Unnecessary. Hit for the core.
Maybe.
It feels good. I'm like, yeah, I could have killed you twice, but you know. So recognizing that there's an op, they begin to run away. No reason to test any of those waters.
And you know what is happening? Like, here's the timeline, right? You're starting at the side of the round, you're either getting that first pick or not getting that first pick, and then everything shuts down, right? We have no sound like we're seeing right now. We're in phase 2 of the timeline. We're probably going to see bomb action start for taking that side, and you're going to immediately start seeing those crazy fights, right? Like, it's not going to be... Sometimes you'll see consistent kills along the rounds. You'll see a nice linear graph, but this time, SFU and RPI just go straight through, and I think it's happening now. Now we're in the next phase.
Basically Overwatch at this point in time. We talked about it a little bit before. Mako in the game, they're going to try and walk the way in. You do have the lockdown also being used from Marketplace. It really will close down on that space, but the attackers are all able to get onto B site. You will have one dragging behind for St. Francis. Now the Hunter's Fury, as they put on their Air Jordans game, basically 2 stories worth of height. Hawkfrost trying to maintain that no one is looking behind them. They know that someone wants to creep in. That's another big flash. They still walk through the danger. They can't swing with that operator like a baseball bat, though they try to. Stevatron and another shock dart, as this now is limited to a 1v1. Can they take that fight? They do, but Rymaster comes out the better, and we'll get this defuse for RPI.
What did I just watch?
Valorant.
I mean, between the Red Bull gives you wings pull off and the successful 1v1 that Rymaster just pulled off, and that op no scope attempt on lane, this is something for the books, surely.
You can tell that Hawk was trying to play maybe just a bit too. They've been playing some CS2. They're like, all right,
yeah,
this works here. Why not there? Oh nope, not the same. Not the same.
It's like that adaptation from Valorant just being your entire competitive career, and then CS2 comes out and it's like, uh-oh, we got a problem here. Especially with how similar the games are, right? I think our brains are just going to mush both games together at one point or another.
Oh.
And that's going to be interesting for the evolution of competitive collegiate right now. We could be seeing some CS2 action in these tournaments in the next few weeks, and we just got to be open to it.
Yeah, the one thing that everyone trying to open up is how to stack 4 or 5 people all on top of each other. Lockdown, trying to lock out RPI. They will have another big 0-point knife as well that's going to cut out. Oh, what could be anyone willing to receive them, but Hawk wants to get rid of one of those big attackers. Doodle hits the floor, waiting on the flank. Dig on the flank watch will be able to get rid of their twinsy, and then it's just fist fights galore into this 3v2. Mako maybe on the teleport away, and they will actually re-navigate. They get taken down midway through, and RPI successful one more time. It feels like when chaos is blooming here, it's St. Francis that suffers.
The engineers are engineering, what can I say? I mean, you've come up head-to-head now, it's 11 all. And what we've just seen is essentially bringing this score back together. It's more tension for both teams. So now SFU has this chance. They've seen what's just happened for this round, but they're gonna have to think fast. And again, going back to that timeout possibility, I think we've got to see one come in action.
Might very well be able to do so here, but it depends on who is able to get this round win. Well, I mean, either way you call it, both sides get to have it. And another big thing, RPI doesn't exactly have full kit. They had to go for a Bulldog. They will be able to have ARs and the operator. Where's Hawk currently sitting? They're looking for this early pick, but it could be an Odin holder that gets taken down first. Hawk, oh, they're not going to stick around for that.
Miss.
They're going to reposition. Make sure that power weapon is out in marketplace.
Of course, for 1 second longer, they could have hit that main, and there you go for that peak. But Hawk is just, again, as you said, Hawk's been careful.
They're in a good position here. The tailwind, as soon as they see that ponytail, maybe they'll get got. Bit of a wall bang. Doesn't take them down. Does do some damage onto Skies, but that robot built a bit different. They have the null command out, so everyone is going to be fended off. You do have 2 out in main, actually out in mid, and they're actually going to be playing for a big flank. St. Francis trying to be able to drum up something interesting, and they could catch them on this timing.
Cover going out.
Ooh, now again things are slowing down. We're about to see some heavy conflict, right? I think that that teleport's definitely going to give us some information.
Not a high value target. Mako looking for a third. Able to get the wallbang onto Tim, and now Dig is coming right back in between as it becomes a 2v2. Haunt is trying to identify them from beyond the wall. They do get tagged up, and that's going to help out Skies. They don't clear the corner, and now St. Francis, it was getting scary. It was getting hairy, but off of a great 3-2 play, they send 2 from mid waiting on the rotation in, and they caught the RPI engineers unaware.
And you know what, it's super crucial to mention, hitting things multi-dimensionally on the attack is going to be something that's not quite textbook. You're thinking, okay, they're going to hit from the main or whatever else they're able to hit from, but being able to hit things through the main or the mid as well, and possibly the CT, right? We've seen people throughout esports use time in Valorant hitting CT as attackers to be able to get that defense pinch through. And that's something that's going to be equally as valuable. We'd seen that come through. Those mid posts were crucial there.
How you want to make these set plays happen. Hawk is going to peek. way too dry out from that dark cover. And Doodle, they have the freedom of movement to utilize both weapon as well as ultimate. Trying to see if they can tag out a player, but so far no one has dropped. No other ultimates online, especially Doodles, as Lord Bowling Ball gets the better of them. They were, in fact, the MVP of the first few rounds. Now in the wombo combo between them and Hawk, able to find some big picks, and this is going to slow the red flash down.
Oh, here comes the recon bolt, just managing to get some cover from Marco.
Marco
Oh, but these fights on mid, they're getting heavier.
trying to be able to swing out. You have Hawk, who's just got 6 HP. They got a Guardian, and no one clearing corners! Oh, Lord Bowling Ball and Hawk doing absolute damage to St. Francis. A flawless, our first of this match. And guess what? We teased you about it. We talked about it. Overtime is here. Wow.
Let's go OT, baby. We're coming through. And I actually had a hunch, you know, just because of how RPI has been playing. Just analytically, you saw those patterns happening. Like you had mentioned, especially with the utilities coming through, the ultimates coming down, and the ways that spaces had been taken. I think RPI just needed a minute to cool down, and they had that opportunity. They went, you know what? It's not going to be an 11-13. It's not going to be something like that. Let's end this now.
We're going to keep 2 Odins out there? I need to know that until the last second. We got Skies and we got both
They're
initiators. Yeah, why not? Okay. Skies. Are we committing? We're committing. Okay, Odin dog play. They're going to put the 0-point knife out, and they're just going to try and lay everyone to waste. Luckily for RPI, they're actually nearly taking them down. They are able to identify where the robot landed onto those boxes, so I love a good cheeky play to open up OT.
Look at that, Rymaster Ramsey got that double Odin counter over there, and that was proven to be really important there. That extra damage done on SFU just comes straight through, and that's going to help later on when they can actually get that pick down.
Time being, though, they
Owning
have
on mid.
Yeah, they've really been looking around mid for kind of a thoroughfare of where they want to move, but this is one of the few times that we've actually seen RPI daring enough to go through tree. They didn't do this very often whenever they played this first time around. Doodle, they're going to be looking for a quick pick. Damage done.
It's almost impressive how they've used mid so much. You know, right, teams haven't necessarily used mid as much as these teams are lately. Now that plant's coming down, you've got a little bit of security, right, that you have from the plant, but Mako's just completely taken it off them. There's no more security now. They've had hell get picked off, Mako's just taken their space, and all these smokes, you can't see anything.
Nothing at all, but you see this tiny little crevice. Will they account for that? A few damaged players coming out from the red flash. Oh, Dig will be able to find them from that back corner, though, and that's going to be good free for Dig. RPI, they fumble the bag, late term. Able to get this one done. Lockdown was even gained. That's a very expensive ultimate, but Dig came up clutch. So, St. Francis, can they do it sooner than round 40? That's my biggest question.
It's fun to see that the Jets are having a field day with their frags, but Dig's finally coming up and going, you know what, it's 3K time. We're going OT, let's finish this off nice and clean. And going through to get that lockdown point. It's still crucial to see, you know, impact can necessarily be measured in OT by, have they got an ultimate by this time in the first round of OT? And that's going to be crucial to see, like, they've made enough of an impact, they can get thrown down.
I'm an OT warrior. If my teams just would get there and rank to be great, but we never do. So, you know, I can't show shine at all. You can use that owl drone out in mid to see if anyone's peeking. Hello, you see 2. Rymaster with an Odin to transverse some space, and they get a bit too aggressive. Guess who? It's Dig.
We're going to say anything more here. We're going through again on tree. Looks like SFU's cooking on that vice versa, just like RPI had sort of messed around with last round. Now that plant's come down, but the numbers on RPI aren't that plentiful.
RPI left in a bad situation. They knew that those first few rounds, whenever this flipped halves last time around, St. Francis was able to just continually wear down the defense of A, and now they've got to run it out. They've got a 0-point. They got an operator in the hands of Hawkfrost, and that has to be huge picks. They missed the timing on that near side box, and that's going to be good for 2. Skies finds a couple. Stevatron last alive, but Scorch will be burning them up. It took only 1 OT this time. St. Francis learned their lesson. They take game number 1. That was 14-12. That comeback in that second half, because they fell 4-8, that was huge. And that was really clinical at times, even when they had to squeak their way by, but they got it done in overtime.
And you know what, SFU really just being like, you know what, that's it, let's go through now. And things just fell through. You know, I have to give it to them. The pressure when you come into OT, just like any other time, it's something that we've noticed here. And hats off to both teams for being able to persevere through that pressure, right? The differences in numbers weren't that much of a disparity. And that was something to really just go, again, hats off to RPI. They had put up a fight there, especially given it was 14-12.
Yeah, wild one. Hey, when you see 3 separate players with double-digit assists, you know a team is working well together. And so that is going to be St. Francis that takes game number 1. But if you think that's the only one we're playing, well, you're dead wrong. But I hope you stay alive for us, because we'll be live and back in just a moment. On the other side of a short break, we'll be playing Bind between RPI and St. Francis U. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Esports U. Again, I'm Hail Monkey Man in the booth alongside Crafe as you're seeing ECAC Collegiate Valorant action. We just got done with game number 1. It was a squeaker, but it was all of one extra OT as St. Francis was able to win game number 1 over the likes of RPI. And I mean, they're very practiced at Ascent. Good comeback by them after dropping 8-4. But we flip over to Bind. And Crafe, I need to know, I mean, we have Bind. Things changed whenever they brought it on back. Teleporters galore. And I feel like the dynamicness there really has opened up a plethora of options. What's one of your favorites that you like to run on this map?
You know what? I've also, as I mentioned Lotus before, it's one of those maps where you sort of have to take space, right? It's Split, it's Lotus, it's Bind. To be in those small corners, and especially you have TPs, right? Like Lotus, you've got the doors. Split, you've got a little bit of a different way to go. You know, you've got ropes, but that's just one rope on B, right? So, namely Bind, you've got those opportunities, and TP is just a way to be able to bait that rotation or fake it really easily. And that's what I like about Bind, because you're able to just get out quickly. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to see some fakes and some insta-rotates this map as we're coming in to Agent Select and see, hopefully, you know, if they can capitalize even more, maybe RPI can finally come back to Bind. And, you know, it's just going to be important to see how are you going to merge in these takes, right? You've got Lamps, it's going to be especially a weird take on A. And then in retrospect, you've got Elbow on B. That's something that you really should be taking as an attacker side. So either way, it's going to be impressive to see how these strats come through.
Right now, it's interesting, at least what's being floated by St. Francis, because I saw the Chamber confirmed. The Dig is going to be very aggressive, very hungry, which we got to see them be at the end of that previous map. But Skies is looking at the Sage. That's going to be all right. We're going to be locking in some 2021 Valorant. That's fine. Doodle on that raise, not exactly unexpected. Opposite of that, you get more. The Brims are going to be out to play. You do get these Skies coming out. It's kind of weird not seeing Skies on a Sky. That's just me and preferential. Am I seeing triple duelists? There's no way. Steve? Okay, yeah, okay, Steve. You're making me look at a Yoru just to be able
I think
to get a
it's just
reaction.
intentional at this point. I think they're just genuinely trying to mess with us.
Swear.
The Reyna just got locked through. I mean, if the Yoru came through, hey, no shame. I haven't seen Yoru in a minute. But oh my gosh, man, come on. That was like, I was on the edge of my seat. I'm still on the edge of my seat.
Well, make sure you do sit back. You don't want to fall out as we will be going through this entire second game. Bind, hey, it's our second in the Collegiate Classic as you do have Haven waiting to be played on. And with as close as these two teams were, it feels like they could be able to get there. But when I say Arena, I mean, when like I talked to this a little bit, it feels like a pocket pick. She is very hungry, very selfish. But if you get a player that just goes, clicks heads, and opens up opportunities for your team, it's one of the most dynamic agents that you can really play with.
Hey man, it's a Paper X strat. You can't shame on it.
That's true. That's true. I do love Piper X. Seen sometimes some of those strats fail, but we also have them playing around a raise. So you don't have like vertical movement. It's straight up, I will throw a death glare at you and see what happens after that fact.
I will go in squiggles for your body. Like I will die in squiggles for all I need.
Oh, we're going to be crashing in. Again, St. Francis, they're going to be starting on defense. How will they receive RPI? It seems that we'll be crashing in through A. You do get a quick molly. Mako, who's changed up, able to get at least one kill. They put some of that fire damage. Hot feet. Rhymaster right around the corner. And already some of these early fights, you see them sticking around that teleporter with the option to retreat out. But the quick duels are happening left, right, and center. Hawkfrost, who was a massive proponent for success. Now it's just going to be St. Francis. They just stick two into that corner. That was a very lightning quick round.
Yeah, no, I'm a little bit stumped on that one. I mean, that's good stuff from SFU, definitely. I was actually thinking, you know, Jet from last map, you know, there's a reason they had done Jet on both sides for that really big space. And now I'm grateful. The squiggles have come in for Bind, right? Having Raze with that really damaging utility, but that movement that's not going to be too limiting, because you can use the satchels not just to enter onto site for yourself, but to push people into corners, because it's such a small map. And that's going to be something that you're not just limiting your satchels to the one purpose, you're going outside the textbook.
I feel like Skies being on to the Sage is a very set piece style play to also want whenever you're going onto the attack. Scorch, they do have better guns for SFU, and it's basically just full tilt using those full auto Spectres down yard. You also have still opposite on B, just kind of players waiting it out, seeing if any kind of rotation is going to happen. But this is your save out round. Don't have much you really can do. The wall has been put up, which is even more expensive to have to get through because there's just not that many bullets to share and go around. Spike begins to navigate itself. So RPI, I mean, you're left with only classics. There's not really too much we're expecting from them in this round.
If we're only using Hawk Frost as a lunchbox carrier, I'm not too pleased with RPI right now. You know, these engineers got to come up with something a little bit smarter, you know? Maybe put some legs on the lunchbox, but either way, these comps are really going to stump me. It's a bit of something that catches you off guard. You're not seeing a Sage on Vine. You're not seeing a Reyna usually, but look at this. This guy's just going, not today, and denying all of that. Coming back for SFU. And I think time was really like something on SFU's side there.
Oh, it definitely was. SFU just waits to receive. They had the better guns, the better positioning, and had the picks straight up. And I kid you not, one of the scariest things in this game is a battle sage. If you have someone that's ready to heal themselves, even if it's just for 30 HP, throw down a wall and slap you around whether you live or die, and then is gunning you out. That's pretty rough. But St. Francis, they grabbed the first couple. It's now up for RPI to respond. I want to see how they jump into this.
I need a badge that says, I was playing Valorant before the Sage nerf from 100 HP heal self. Like, that's just gonna be stuck as, like, a fridge magnet, I don't care. We're coming through it, and it's really crucial that SFU, on this partial eco, has all the same weapons, all the same shields, because that consistency can also play a part in how they can win these rounds, especially in a bonus.
Big bonus round. You do have that upper position as well for their chamber, who really hasn't been tested as of yet for St. Francis. Just outside of that archway, Dig waiting. And they do have the teleport active and online, but trying to navigate RPI. Haven't really been able to clear. I think that we may end up having just kind of a burst. They're going to use at least not just the grass, but the haunt and the paint shells to put some damage down onto site. Last pack. Just because Rymaster continuing to throw a couple of the satchels, but it now becomes a full swing onto A. They go through mid, and they have one from Teleporter, and Scorch is still in a good position. I think they've were able to just kind of get a box jump up here.
And that's clearly paid off. How Scorch has come up on there, no idea, especially a Sky, but it's been something that has capitalized for them. Sage was completely out. Maybe that's what happened.
One of the few. Maybe they did get it off of extra little blast pack, but guys is going to try and peek into this. They get a little bit of quick damage onto Hawk. They see you, investigator style, right around the corner, but no, Rymaster will bite back. Take a bite out of crime, and RPI doing the same thing against St. Francis. Those paint shells hitting strong. Now Doodle left all alone, 10 HP, and once for Dreams. They get a better gun. Got a 3K, but they don't have enough time. They may full commit into it. They're going to swing off, maybe do some extra damage. Maybe a complimentary ace. They're going to stick around. They're going to keep that gun. They're going to walk through the teleporter. That's going to be a round win for RPI, but at what cost?
And you know what? I think I feel for SFU because that synergy wasn't quite there in Lamps, right? You had Skies just sitting over, chilling with that pre-fire attempt, but then, of course, another one comes down, they lose an extra team member from just the swing without swinging it together. I mean, that was something that really lost them that extra opportunity to win that round. It was highly winnable, especially from what we just saw from Doodle. I mean, Doodle's just gone on it. Jet, Raze, doesn't matter. Bro's just, like, headed for it.
But there was a ton of damage done. If you especially look at the engineers, they have sheriffs, they have judge. Now, Rymaster and a judge with a raise. That's also a very scary adaptation that can be brought onto this. Yeah, no one wants to see that. A brim-stemmed raise that's double blast packing on a site with a judge. No, thank you.
Or a jet with a shorty, even worse.
Oh, Lord help me. Take me back to the beta days. That's going to be a bowling ball that goes straight into the dome of Doodle. It will take over back site of B, and this plant will go down. St. Francis left at a deficit. RPI much the same. This judge can hold this corner pretty well for re-entry.
And again, the pacing is sort of reflecting it from Ascent now, and frags are being attempted. You know, Hawkfrost and that Reyna still managing to frag out. Per the responsibility, and that judge doing its work from Rye. I mean, hey, I'm a little bit underwhelmed that judge didn't do a little bit more. I was expecting full-on, like, squiggles even more. And I'm still waiting for the squiggles.
Well, they all ran away. They, you know, no one wants to take on a judge. As soon as you hear that gavel and you hear the bump, bump, you're like, I don't want to go that way. And then Stevatron got the rest.
Honestly, rightfully so. I would pull my knife out and go right the other way.
Yeah. Would
But
do
now
a
again-
180 and just walk out. Done.
And now we're doing a 360 actually with SFU on that buy. That's sort of swapped around, but Lord Bowling Ball's just sticking on the Bulldog. That's just a full love attachment relationship there.
Wow. Buckfrost, a bird to the face, guiding light will blind them, but they are able to retreat out. And St. Francis, they're left with a hero rifle. They're gonna hit the ground as well. Blast packing their way over Truck and Rymaster with a showstopper that will find an absolutely empty seat or two. No audience left to clap hands for them. Buckfrost down checking and a lot of wallbang damage being done onto that peak. Dig, they've got a Bulldog. Don't exactly want to have to triple tap anyone. They want to full auto someone down, and Doodle left with 50 HP, half a bar to do anything else. But this is all just to see if they can unseat the engineers.
And St. Francis is actually quite lucky that they missed that rocket fuse going through onto CT, right? They flipped that script, and it wasn't quite enough energy, as we just saw, to be able to get RPI down. But it is something they can use as leverage. First 4 rounds, 5 rounds, you're trying to adapt, and that's exactly what they were trying to do here. And it's something that you take as a learning experience, really.
And RPI, if we remember back to Ascent as well, it was them that really dictated pace of play in that first half. They look so good. And then it just kind of began to crumble as St. Francis were able to come back. And they are in a position of defense for both starters of this map and the previous. Let's see what they bounce back into this next rifle round. I didn't get to see many of those without someone suffering through the cycle. They continue to just kind of poke and prod. Really aren't worried about B yet.
Here comes the progression now, and it's quite honestly an insta-hit. You know, you've got that Haunt coming through, that attempt to push. If it wasn't for that slow orb to come through, it would have been even faster. But now I've got my squiggles. Rise coming straight through onto sight, and space has been taken absolutely beautifully. You've got all the smokes down, you've got bench pretty much taken. And that space is all that they need to be able to get the bomb down. But SFU has frags, SFU has 2 ultimates online. And they're able to use that to their advantage. As long as they can get some more picks, they won't even need to use them.
It's like they're going to be getting that molly out, and they may actually just commit into the orbital strike with St. Francis. They're able to at least get to half. Lord Bowling Ball is trying to commit it for later. They'd see that all that fire and flame is not doing the damage they need. Oh, and not able to get the ultimate. Oh, no, they do, but they're just going to live through it. Dig does die, but St. Francis bites back. Now, what we saw before, they're not exactly going to have a lot of money. You'll have enough to trade some rifles hither, thither, and yon between each other. But, I mean, RPI, I mean, you were talking about the importance of, like, how often so many of these fights are gone for all the time on Ascent. It seems like we're always down to the last player every time we get these rounds.
Definitely, and that's why the progression of fights is something that I've been watching dearly, even since Ascent, right? You have to be really controlled, and sometimes, again, inconsistently consistent about how you're getting these picks down, how you're leaving the impression on your opposition to be able to have that space. But 4 ultimates online for SFU now. Surely they get these, even with that partial eco.
Prowler and Lear trying to just scare them all away. Oh, Dig does grab Rymaster, but the Nightfall and the Empress, they never saw them, never heard them, but they're gonna know all about them as the plant comes through. 2 defenders, Seekers get expended, no one blinded, but Hawkfrost still drops. Scorch trying to be able to get this swing from double box, but no, it's Tim that's gonna cut him down at the knees. Sky's good for another, but Tim hits him with the old classic click. So, RPI, consistent counter punches. St. Francis, they bought to that round, and now they're looking at a hard save.
I have to say, I think based on the hard pacing of RPI there, it just caught SFU off guard. They had more than enough resources to be able to go for that extra round. They had forced it up, if you will. Most of them are now on like almost full save here on Classics. They had that opportunity. They had 4 ultimates online, and they weren't able to hone in on that opportunity. I think they just simply got caught off guard. They weren't able to take that on time. Hopefully it's different this round, though.
Doodle peeking around the corner with a shorty. And this is a util dump. Oh, a lot of damage is going to happen, too. Quick heal from Skies as they wanted to be able to take up that mid space. Dig has been walking through them, seeing if they can get a headshot off of that quick golden gun. But even with it, now we're just trying to pop pinatas, and they're going to do it even better with a Judge, which has a bit more bullets, shoots a little bit faster than a shorty. And RPI will gain a second one, but I mean, St. Francis, they know when to take their licks, and they know when they have to just be able to kind of save it out, build for next.
I mean, both teams are sort of playing pinata there with each other, right? You weren't really trying for that main objective, but really just screw the bomb. We're going for each other, especially on this eco. We want to try and get guns. And something sort of blindsided them. They've almost been tunnel vision. They were sort of able to be strategic with it, but hey, they've got guns now, so they have more safety to be able to use the ultimates that they need to. So hopefully this round is going to mean more to SFU.
I like the positioning of Dig. Make use of that sky smoke being buttoned down by Mako. Ready to receive anyone up long, and so they do have this cross. But it's been more out of hookah than anything because you have this double duelist that plays so well together off of the dynamicness of Rymaster's movement as well as the leer. But because of that pick, they were actually thinking about running it away. Brim stem, move them forward. Haunt no longer available. Mako, he can actually invest into this orbital strike. He's gonna walk straight into the smoke, but Lord Bowling Ball will get rid of their twin.
Ooh, and there it goes. There's just something about seeing a spitting image of yourself, I guess, in this game. But again, taking that elbow control, especially for RPI, the engineers are engineering. And now this elbow control is hopefully going to be allowing them to take that space, despite it being a 5v2. You never know what can happen, so being that extra vigilance is going to be crucial here. And of course, looking like a bit of a save, but that's not a problem. So far, we've seen quite a bit of progression. Again, RPI's double duelist has been working surprisingly well, if you will, to be able to progress into bind as a map. And hopefully both teams are taking a lesson out of this, right? You've got that save, but in the middle, you should be adapting here. Both teams should be sort of going, okay, this is what's happened. How can we get this control back? And again, very impressive from SFU for that initial watching, as you said on B long with that positioning, having that brim chamber to really play each other off, playing in twos. And that extra pick as well is really not going to leave SFU in a great position for that save. Or Sage over there. Hawkfrost is just hunting.
Or Skies, yeah, they were trying to walk their way out. But RPI, they've really not broken their mold about what they want to do walking into these sites. You have seen both Hawkfrost as well as Rymaster consistently just hitting hookah. Why shouldn't they? They just consistently are moving through. They know to be able to just blast pack their way onto mid tube and then be able to put out the leer. And it's pretty much an equation right now. They were a second away from maybe considering A in that moment, but instead, off of a good pick, recognizing that someone had gotten a bit too aggressive, they just take it down. Skies is going to walk away with way too much damage being done. They lose one of their duelists, and now they're just trying to stop what's been happening in the last 3 rounds.
Even as you mentioned about that initial pick based off of the rotation, it's super important to be able to scale off of picks and utility. If you get something impactful down like utility and picks, you should be going for it. You should be taking that extra space that it's just given you. If you're getting a pick and immediately falling back, that's a conditional statement, sure. But you have to be making sure that you're falling back in a manner that's going to help you. You've just gotten something in a huge advantage, and honing in on it is going to be something that you need to make sure you're doing as a team.
Tour de Force is out. It's on A. Waiting for anyone to walk their way through. You also have the orbital strike. Maybe getting expended here. No, it's a sky smoke instead. They're not going to commit to that ultimate as of yet, and that's a poor blinded Mako. That poor Brim didn't know what to do. Skies in this opposite direction and trying to lay them all to waste. They're good for a couple. Becomes a 2v3. Winnable by several measures. RPI. Oh, Scorch never saw the Cypher at their back. Knowing that this Tour de Force is out in the open and knowing where they got to rotate from, they're not going to hard peek any of this. In fact, they do have a camera sighting them. So basically, Dig left in a rough position.
Ooh.
Steve, take a seat. Trying to do the same thing through this wall bang, but Rymaster will take care of business instead.
That was quite a bit of a something that put me back on the edge of my seat. I mean, got to be super careful there, especially when you've got the lineup almost happened. Being honest, they both swung out together, and that was something that really had helped RPI. They had come out in that double play together finally. We're seeing some action on, you know, redeeming themselves in taking those spaces together. And that's going to be really powerful. But again, Dig had gone for a great impression there, especially with that extra frag. And it's still going to leave an impact for SFU.
Dig looking for knuckle bumps on at least the attempt. The operator will be invested into, and they've got 2 rounds to go. St. Francis in a similar position that they were on Ascent. An initial shot, they're going to TP away. Dig Gonna try and navigate themselves into Lamps, and it's gonna be Doodle that finds first pick onto Hawk. Rymaster no longer having to be afraid of the Frenchman. No giant baguette to be swinging around. Tim is at least not gonna get this plant off early, and the Cypher cams for really getting all this extra intel has been helping out RPI in buckets and low.
Most definitely. Again, we've still got the 3 ultimates. Oh, now 2 ultimates. There we go. It's just the caster's magic of stating it simply. I mean, so those 3 ults are going down to 2, but that's not leaving them any deficit here. They still have ultimates to be able to get that anti-plant. It's just unfortunate that Tim has gone solo for that plant on B. Hoping they're going to be able to come through, and Tim won't hone in on elbow. They've got to be careful in that clearance. Having elbow control is something that's just going to be crucial for RPI, and they've honed in on it.
Tim is just waiting. There's no reason for them to peek early. They don't have anything to blind them out, but they could actually find the timing, and everyone started looking through that door. Stevatron from distance. You're going to have that haunt. See if they tag anyone up, but that's just too killable, but too winnable. They put the wall down. Smoke is there. Tim is doing what damage they could. Though a couple of bodies do drop, St. Francis finds the better of it, and they're able to get the secure. So, a good last look, keeping as many guns as they could in that moment on the board. And they should be walking in at least happy enough to this final round of the first half. And we could have a replay here, Crafe, of another 4-8.
Definitely going to see that, but, you know, just of course, speaking off of the traction and what we've seen so far timeline-wise for RPI, it looks like they're going to try and come back in that sense, right? And SFU has had a little bit of, you know, deficit in terms of their frags right now for econ-wise. So definitely something to be thinking about as well here. And again, 2 ultimates online for SFU. They could still come back here.
Doodle's got that showstopper in their back pocket, and an orbital strike is ready to go. Empress gets popped by Hawk. You have 2 showstoppers on the map, 2 orbital strikes. Actually, they will clear that one early. Nightfall gets expended. No one out in Lamps to get punished by it. They will actually move over into Shower. And Rymaster ready to kill anyone that wants a rocket to the face. Mako gets rid of their doppelganger. No Uncanny Valley left to be seen. But the Empress is right inside. They're going to get domed by Dig.
This is some impressive headshot leveling that we're getting from both teams in this series so far. Again, we're seeing a little bit of repetitive action here from Ascent, from again the previous map here. High ground, low ground being taken advantage of again. That defusal stick! Stevatron's just too far back here, and all of the attack sides have been coming down. And there we go! We managed to get a comeback from SFU from the ultimates. That was beautiful.
A lot of extra pressure. RPI through everything. They had the Nightfall, Showstopper, and Orbital Strike all within the first 10 or so seconds of that round. But ending it out was St. Francis doing themselves one better than what they had in first map on Ascent. So now we go onto their attacking half, and this is really where they shine the most, Crafe. I think that this one is going to be able to really showcase what they want to do off of these set piece plays between the Sage and the Chamber.
Again, that double sentinel is something you're not necessarily going to be seeing too much on Bind anymore, but of course SFU's making advantage of it, and it's something good to mention. You know, the Sage was coming up on Split, and it's like, these maps are pretty similar. Why aren't we seeing Sage on Bind? So again, very important to be seeing this. And Chamber is just one of those picks that have been a bit of an iffy side, from what I've seen at least in recent changes, but now, again, we're going through to the not-so-certain picks, and we're making them work, which is impressive.
Stevatron, good for at least one. Traded out. Sky's on the opposite side, and Mako. Wow, Lord Bowling Ball, you've got great coverage. Sentinel doing what Sentinels do and making sure that their teammates don't die easily. And that wall shows how important it is because of these pistol rounds, as well as just where they want to be able to set up the delay and deny. You're going to try and swing one from out of elbow. RPI? Well, hey, RIP to Tim. You have all of Rymaster and then a disaster. St. Francis, they grab the first, and because they're going to have that buy-up Crafe, it's looking like they're going to be good for the next.
Most certainly, and that's hopefully going to bring them back onto a 7-all, but then pressure's going to come back up for them, so it could lead over back to RPI, especially once they get their hands on some rifles. We could be seeing anything here. Again, looks like they're all going for some relative consistency in terms of their force, like we've been seeing so far. Mako's just decided on the Guardian this time, gone away from the herd.
Okay.
So, you know what? Let's see if this is able to be capitalized on.
You know, Mako was one of the more inventive players that we got. Or St.
You know what? That's
Francis.
a good point.
Yeah, so like, let's see if maybe they just hit the old aim labs. You got decayed early, and then they're gonna need that extra heal. But you got 2 healers over there between the Sky and the Sage. I'm pretty sure they can cap off that HP bar. Rymaster, they own lamps and with a Bucky. No one's currently testing them. Guiding Light does at least pan them out. They're just gonna go for this plant. And now, oh, if you miss your first shot, that Bucky's basically dead.
That's why the judge is so crucial there, but if it's not a judge, it's clearly a Bucky for Rymaster. Either way, decent damage for SFU Sky, right? So RPI still has a chance here to be able to get that retake, as long as they're picking off consistently, and that's what Hawk's just already pioneering for.
Quick Lear, Stinger in hand. That's a lot of bullets to have to deal with, and guess what? The Guardian hit the floor. And other people may as well, straight through the box off this re-entry, maybe for a third into a 1v1. Hawk doesn't have the overheal, but they have to deal with Dig from distance, who has their teleporter up and ready to go. They're just outside of the door, and they're gonna try and stick it through half. They may just stick it completely. They go for that next duel, and they'll ping it slow, walk their way up. The Frenchman's still alive. They TP back in a way that may be enough. Yes, it is. Dig able to get the spray eventually. Very, very sweaty in those final moments to finally get it tied up. This is going to be a weak bonus for SFU, but hey, they're tied in the game.
Absolutely adore how Dig had managed to get that teleport in such a smart way. If he didn't have that teleport ability at that time, he would not have gotten that round. Being able to get that against Hawk, that was huge for SFU. So major hats off there. Being able to use utilities like that in different ways. Again, I'm thinking about non-textbook concepts. And seeing these non-textbook concepts from St. Francis and RPI across the series, it's refreshing to see.
Gotta get inventive if you want to go the distance. St. Francis basically in a full eco right now, save 1. RPI may actually get aggressive with this defense, but they're gonna keep all bodies lined up. You got actually a 3-stack on the B, not your typical positioning. You put a lot more, generally speaking, with my terrible ranked games, on A. You'll have one swinging out from Showers, and Dig has been hitting their shots when they need to. This wall will go up, the spike will go down, and so will an extra gun as Hawkfrost will hit the bench.
Now again, we're seeing an attempt from Tim to pick off Dig now. Just being vigilant and reactive on Showers is what we need here. We need RPI to slow down a little bit and be that reactiveness they need to. If they are making hits though, doubling up isn't going to be a bad decision. Rymaster just, you know what, screw that. No doubling up here. I got a judge. That's my double do right here.
Damage they could do off the giant spray from those massive shells, but Dig and Skies are continuing to lay them low. Skies and Scorch turn into a memory. Dust echoes. A molly will make this more difficult, and Rymaster will just not have enough time. Stevatron will probably walk their way out. Yes, they do. I think there's just enough time. Maybe Dig? No, they're going to be a sacrifice to the giant black orb. Oh, they will step away from it only just. So, St. Francis, they take the first 3, and that forms a rough situation for RPI. Their eco is going to be lopsided.
Again, we're going towards this concept of like pushing people off with utility is something that's going to be a lot more important than actually throwing your body at the enemy, which is a whole frag that it's going to be more significant because you're carrying that utility. You have that belt. And if you don't need to dedicate to a fight, then there you go. And again, just doing damage is all you really need to do to a team. You don't need to dedicate to those fights, and it makes your life easier on the latter half.
Rymaster desperate for someone to go within 2 feet of them so they can get full value out of that judge. It's been a while since they've seen any of that. You get the Pathfinder used early just to see what they could find out. Guiding Light will get expended, but with the Sky Smoke down, I would not test my luck. Not one bit. Not knowing that a Brim and a Raze are just...
And there goes these extra picks. Really going to be important here for SFU to keep that round advantage they have right now. Going to put them back in and hopefully allow them to put their foot down. But RPI, they're sort of rotating around now. They've caught that read on SFU, and let's just hope that SFU's not going to keep this down. Oh, spoke too soon. There goes the smokes. Now we know they're definitely trying to go for that hit, but alas, the engineers have successfully gotten this read. The trap wire able to help them out a little bit here.
Wall down, separating everyone as the spike wants to be planted, but they're actually looking at the idea of rotating away as the molly was expended. I was thinking maybe that would actually be the best play, force from RPI to have to chase them down. Oh my goodness! All right, sheriffs are paying dividends, and now the Honda's doing the same thing, tattletelling on where Skies is, but it's just you, them, and too many bullets. St. Francis, they're protecting their lineup king of Mako with that molly. Not a lot of HP between them. Rymaster is going to try and dry peek into this, but they still land their shot. Dig hits the floor. The molly does get used, and it's going to be Mako on the re-swing, trying to come right back in, but the judge will do the damage, and so does RPI. They never let go of the opportunity to try and finish off this round and come back to it, and shout out to Rye, coming up huge for that 3K.
Funnily enough, a little bit of damaged HP never hurt Rymaster.
Yeah.
Being able to go through with that frag. And again, that's really what honed in for RPI to get that defusal down, right? If that was going to be a whiff in that term, or just simply that Rymaster didn't have enough HP to be able to fight that fight, it could have turned out severely dire for RPI, especially with Stevatron alive.
We're going to be seeing, you have the revive online, the showstoppers up as well on both sides. The Empress for Hawks to get aggressive if they feel like it. Really promote some of that just carnage that they've been so good with. Doodle wants to bounce in, and bounce they shall. They're going to be doing it with a quick dunk, and now they've trapped them in both positions, but both killed by Dig. Oh, ruining Doodle's good time, but as long as both go away and the side is open and free, well, they won't be complaining. They just wish they did it with their own ultimate.
I would have challenged my Doodle to a fencing challenge here. If I was Doodle, I would have challenged my teammates to fencing here if they took my frags with that rocket fuse online going straight to waste. Definitely unfortunate, but something they can come back from with 3 ultimates still left.
Master running around the corner, not going to be given another chance to be that MVP. No clutch ups here as there's only one remaining in Sky. Well, and the Scorch is going to find Lord Bowling Ball. That's St. Francis.
There it comes.
Man, off of Flawless. Looking just so serene. And it was the initial pressure. They ran into Showers trying to dodge a showstopper, but it's Dig who continues to really have great output.
And that's, again, that part of the chamber pick from the double sentinel composition that St. Francis did lean towards that's coming into play here, right? Like, you might not have been able to truly adapt to it and come through, use it to your advantage if you weren't the chamber there that Dig has gone with. But again, we've swapped decos again. It's not a double force for both teams. It's not a double full buy. So this is not leaving RPI in a great position, but hopefully it can be one they can use as best as possible.
They always build most of these rounds. I mean, they were so successful.
I've got your trail.
Actually, I was thinking onto RPI, but they've not been able to really kind of dictate pace away from St. Francis. St. Francis has been very comfortable just hard hitting onto A site. You have this full bucket of bullets going into mid. Showers really isn't an option. They put the wall down. They continue to just hit the set piece. There's going to be a lot of damage. Skies will commit to it, and they will heal themselves through. But right over the truck they go. Rymaster wants to hunt them down. They want full contact. They're going to be going to that 1v2, and they've got a Bucky to get both.
I didn't know Rymaster cosplayed in Arena for this game. Not for those extra huntings in the middle of the round, but nevertheless, going to be something good to balance it out. I mean, got Rain on the opposition, of course. But again, your Hawk Frost comes straight down, as I say, with the Caster's Curse.
Rymaster.
There goes that defusal.
That is the kind of creative agent, as well as, I mean, I think you've probably seen it for anyone that plays Raze. Anyone that can move like that, and it's just snapshot W key warrior. If they can go through and find those big picks, the entire team suddenly seems revitalized.
Gotta agree with you there, of course. And you know, you have that disparity when you're not Jet, right? Like, you have that conditional sense of, what is this map type? Am I going Raze or Jet? Which are the more viable picks? I mean, aside from Neon, Yoru we haven't really seen so far, which is a little bit unfortunate, but either way, you have those 2 opportunities, and Rymaster's honed in on it, and so is our opposition.
Where can they isolate Rymaster? Now there's nothing to be afraid of, at least when it comes to having a showstopper, but is there a judge? Is there more antics to have to run into? Orbital strikes are online for both sides. The defense looking very strong ultimate-wise, save one. But RPI been playing catch-up, have been able to really kind of lead St. Francis by the nose like they've enjoyed so far. This has been a war of attrition here on B, but there's 4 on this site. Spike is supplanted just outside Hookah, which means they can't hard rotate through teleporter if they wanted to swing out to A.
Now things are calming down ever so slightly, staying very reactive, even just for St. Francis. But now hopefully we're going to see some extra action. Tim getting the first blood down here. And there goes Rymars is still sitting up with the judge, so maybe we're going to see some more action here if Scorch dares to play with fire. Nevertheless, things are a little bit chill. That informatory flash coming through. Typically that second flash is going to be that push, so Rhymaster is looking out for it.
Oh, see this flank on A? A reverse flank? They're trying to see if anyone's down in that corner. You have so much extra damage, and now they're finally getting some of these picks. It is, in fact, Hawkfrost who hits the ground as Dig. They were sent on a mission to be like, all right, is A actually open? Is it free? Well, it was. Orbital Strike trying to take down Dig from the sky, but that... Skies, what are you doing? Just, Skies.
Fair.
Sure.
We'll let that one slide. Oof, and Tim! With the 4K!
Still waiting.
Blazing straight off. I mean, that was something that we just watched, but Tim!
Yeah, but Tim!
And there it goes. RPI's come back with the 9-10, so it's looking a bit better. Hopefully we've got into map 3. Just with that definite coping mindset for both teams to have that opportunity to come through and prove themselves for this series.
I gotta think that Skies' graphics card failed, and they just didn't see the orbital strike, you know, coming down. Because they walked through a space laser and got taken out. Regardless, St. Francis, they're gonna be popping through. They're gonna have a tour de force, so Dig is able to help buy over for a few of these.
You want
But
to play? Let's play.
either way, RPI, they do reestablish themselves. I think that's the biggest, most important kind of position right now, is that RPI looks strong. They still have a plethora of ultimates, and they're finding big playmakers between Rye and Moore on this team.
And again, plenty of time to play with here, so it's not that bad that they're going for the default. They've got the guns to work with here. Again, Dig with the tour de force, just chilling here on showers. Again, crucial to keep that somewhat control so that you're not having the flankers come through. And that's why they're so far back right now, so that they're not having people come straight around. I think Dig essentially learned the lesson of, okay, there's Rainer from RPI just sitting right back here on A. Let's make sure we get that taken care of. And they've sort of decided to make sure that that keeps up in a safe way for them. Now 50 seconds left. They've got to get a plant down. Looks like the bomb's heading slowly towards A. See if they've got enough time to play with here.
It's crazy. This is going to turn into a timing situation because it's like, where does the rotate happen? Where are they tricking them to go? The Pathfinder's going to try and look for anyone. They use the orbital strike to clear in through lamps, and now it's the same old tried and true method. You put the wall out, but that may be just enough to bait some of this util. Do they TP over? Yes, they do. So now they're gonna have to work through hard B rush. Mako, you know that one person's probably left behind, and more than likely it is in fact a Cypher. Steve is right around the corner. They're never gonna see it coming as everyone is being knocked over. The idea was there, but it was well read and scripted by RPI. St. Francis, so they're in a pickle.
RPI said, we're putting our foot down. Truly, coming to 9-11. It's looking a little bit rough for SFU in terms of map 3, especially given their econ is rather short at the moment. So this is going to leave them possibly in a 9-12 situation, which again isn't that easy to come back from.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the worst situations too, because you know you need just enough. You will have a losing streak credit count given to you. You need enough to challenge this round because you don't want to give it to RPI for free. If you can turn this into a thrifty, it's a huge boon because then you can stop them from getting to map point. Otherwise, we could be right around the corner from RPI being a step away from working their way into Haven and completing the full triple crown of collegiate maps. That's going to be a big trade. Off a wall bang on Tim as Mako hits the floor. Oh, but they can't do the same thing. Going to be able to get a dismiss, repossession. Oh my goodness, it's a shooting gallery. Hawkfrost hits the ground as the Bulldog will bark. Another wall being set up, and they will try for that plant.
That molly coming straight through RPI's got the lineups online. And that's going to be quite the near miss, especially with Doodle on 15 HP. Really got to make sure that we're not going near it.
Oh.
And of course, the resurrection comes, but it's not going to be enough for SFU because Stevatron is going for it on the flank. Oh, they were so vigilant last round in terms of how they positioned themselves in this round as well. And that really just got reversed on them.
That was the worst situation. They were able to do such great work off of a low buy. St. Francis looked like they were in full control. You got the revive, but the one thing no one accounts for on revives is when that flank time is coming in. Because you kill the active person, wait for the next one that's coming back from the dead to just be shot down. And that's RPI opening things up. Great spray control and transfer by Stevatron. Now they're in the driver's seat. St. Francis got to catch up. They need to force another OT.
Here we go, Tasmanian Tiger coming through to clear showers. Really important that the attackers can get this controlled showers at least, so that the short holders can scale it up. As long as you have those two sides, take that front half of site, it's going to make their lives a lot easier. And they've planted themselves for victory. 9-12 though. They're in a bit of a pinch.
That's going to be a double kill. That's Doodle. They've been waiting to bounce their way in. Finally get a bunch of damage from that showstopper. So as they try to run away, vacate the premises, RPI will be caught unawares. Hawk Frost, much the same. Scorch will be traded, but the damage is being dealt by the red flash. This is a very important round, not just to keep the map going, but they need to be able to keep as many guns up as possible. Lord Bowling Ball strikes them with a pin to the skull. Gonna do it one more time. Lord Bowling Ball, Molly out. Will they swing their way through? Do they expect Skies to be here with the shorty? Not quite. St. Francis, they stay in this fight. We're gonna be seeing them be short on credits. So you gotta see how much they continue to be able to put up with. It looks like they're gonna have just enough. And another big thing to look at, RPI needs to make sure they have guns to persist if they want to keep this from going to OT.
Trajectory-wise, it's not looking too fortunate here for them. As you sort of mentioned, St. Francis's buy is risky here. If they lose this round, it seems to be game over for them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're gonna be done. You're looking at the short end of a Haven-based stick. See if they can run right around the corner. I like how they're switching it up here late. It looks like they're still testing RPI even as they're the ones that need a couple of rounds to tie this up.
Now we've got that simple placement down, that last minute rotation, hopefully from catching oppositions off guard now. But that double flash, oh, and Rymaster going straight through the paint shells. That's keeping SFU on their toes, unfortunately. But RPI is just still staying up. They've got that extra frag in here, getting damaged. Is this the end of the season? Here we go, and Bind gets finished off.
Bind done, dusted, and put into the works. Well, guess what? You wanted your latent curse to continue. We got a full form of it as we hit map number 3. Haven just on the other side of it. It felt like RPI bounced back in such a big way here, Crafe. They were starting to feel the pangs of what looked like Ascent, just 2.0, deja vu, but then they really kind of just took over control, and they did it through some big picks and big individual efforts. Rymaster really looking good.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, that last round of Bind really caught me somewhat off guard for the fact that it had finished rather soon, especially with those fast-paced fights that we had been seeing. And Ascent, again, had given us a bit of an example of the fact that there were fights happening in weird sets of timelines. They had sort of kept up on Bind, but had switched it up. So it was clear that both maps had their individual fight styles for both St. Francis and RPI. So, again, we're going to map 3 now. Managed to pull off quite the fight. Again, they're still putting it up. They haven't given up. It's not something that's going to be too far off. It's a close call for both teams. So we'll see how this one pans out.
Gonna go to map number 3. Y'all get your midnight snacks. We may be heading there with you. On the other side of a short break, who will come out the better between RPI and St. Francis? You'll want to find out right after this. I hope you brought your teddygrams because this is going to be a golden third map moving into this matchup. I'm Hell Monkey Man in the booth alongside Crafe as we are going to it to the distance. RPI, the engineers, trying to construct, maybe even devise a way to overcome the red flash. St. Francis, are they all flash? No substance. They have to take an OT loss, or win rather, and then propel it through a map 2 loss. We go to Haven. We've talked about this so much. 3 sites, one of my favorites, but we played Haven a lot. What's there left to see here, Crafe?
We're getting the big disguises and the surprises, especially with the frags here that we've seen. The timeline of the frag patterns is something that I have been mentioning for both Ascent and Bind so far. It's been something that has paid off for both teams, but again, we're seeing the one-to-one purely based on how this adaptation's come through. So we've had 2 maps for both sides to be able to finally adapt and see for the final map, pouring all of the current information on the opposition to the side. And now we have, again, 3 sites going big or going home. And now we're going to see how we're going to be able to basically adapt with these agent pools that we're going to see come up for St. Francis and RPI.
So I think one big note whenever you go from the first map to the next, Rymaster was on that Sova, and then they got switched up over onto the Rays, and I think that was obviously big duelists, and they're able to find a lot of big kills off of them, but they were one of the massive reasons and weapons in the arsenal to really propel RPI in the right direction. Wow, very quick picks. They don't want to be able to mess with this one any further. I didn't see any Killjoy. Might be wrong. I saw a lot of Cypher play that has been persisting into Haven. So I think there may be one out there. We'll be able to see the rest of it as it does come through. And actually, no, there isn't one. So cool. So Breach and Omen are basically best buddies. And we will see the dating sim between Breach and Fade come back into fruition. But I want to see what we can really get off of Hawk back onto this Jet.
You know what? It's been quite interesting to see the role of duelists sort of get ping-ponged around for both teams so far. You know, one point we had Sova, and one point that Sova turned into Rays, and then we had a Jet to a Reyna, and vice versa. And it's just been this sort of level of... It seems like most of these team players are mainly ranked duelists from what they're coming from.
You had a school that maybe recruited. They're like, hey, what's their KD? Oh, that looks awesome. We got them. You end up with 5 duelists. Right? Oh, well, I suppose so. That's fine. I do want to see impactfulness from Rymaster. Now that they're back on the Sova, can they continue to be able to promote themselves forward? You see this B rush, these B hits onto Haven as first round starter kits going onto these halves has become such a rhythm. And it's actually going to be off of these big swings. First blood grabbed by Lord Bowling Ball. It was all of a decoy. A was the true suspect.
Oh, and it looks like Hawk went straight for the energy drink in between these 2 maps, because that was quite the swings that we had seen happen when B had gotten through. And it's really impressive to see that they had honed in on B, going straight to A through Link. And that's paying off. I mean, Doodle's getting those extra frags, but 3v3 now.
Doodle off of the Frenzy. One of my favorite guns in the
Still
entirety of the
known for
game.
it.
Underappreciated, but now being well-loved. Rymaster, they are just completely blind. You had a flailing Russian down in hell, and they're going to make sure they stay there as they just shot off to anyone that wanted to square up with them straight on. But St. Francis, after a bit of a, I guess it's just a hard rush by the engineers, they're able to bounce back, and they had a nice retake.
Oh, gotta love that Frenzy, man. I went to the Frenzy for so long, and for some reason I just went straight back to the Ghost. And I don't know what's wrong with me, because quite frankly, as you said, it's an amazing gun. But either way, now I'm going straight for a Force. Scorch was thinking about that Mono Shorty for a little while, but SFU again, going for that consistent buy across the pool. Seems like it's something that's working for them in terms of strength of guns and not letting the opposition get an advantage of a Guardian and a Bulldog per se. But again, same relative setup, but they're not going for B this time. They're going straight through Garage, possibly to C.
Gotta watch out. Dig in a rough position. They could be exposed. They will be having to run off of it, and they're going to keep their teleport. But there is a stinger in the hands of Hawk, and they're looking for that first contact, and that's exactly what puts Dig to the ground. Mako getting a triple before their Swedish twin will take them out. Becomes a 2v2. RPI, though, barely account for 2/3 of a single person's HP bar, which means they're going to be hitting these shots, and St. Francis currently has the better arsenal.
Monkey Man, if you wanted to do fractions, at least go back to some sort of Math course. Why are we bringing fractions into Valorant now?
Look, it's caster math, all right?
It's
I actually
caster
had
math.
meant to say 3/4, and that's really all that's left of this one as we get down to just a couple of very hurt agents. St. Francis knew that off of the calls, and RPI really didn't have much to defend with.
The last two remaining from St. Francis really coming off scot-free.
Yeah, this one. I mean, St. Francis has been looking pretty clinical. It's the first couple of rounds. Haven is one of those, I'd say it's about as measured as Ascent. Probably about as much played, save Bind, who I hit up a lot on the beta. The RPI, they're going to have some better guns, and it's not exactly your strongest looking bonus for SFU.
Oh, you know what? Either way, again, you have that key objective of when you're on eco, you're doing this, and you're not going too aggressive. You know, you're getting the guns that you need. You're playing as a team. No matter what side you're on, you don't have a lot of leeway with your guns. So hopefully they can at least take a bit off RPI, set themselves up for some success. As again, it's only just going to be 2-1 if they don't quite make it.
I like that RPI was very much ready to receive this creep up by the red flash. St. Francis, they try to send 3 out onto A main. Now you have them forcing RPI to be at arm's reach and really are collectively stolen territory. Tim and Rymaster accounting for a couple of big picks has opened up C. And that's leaving that triplicate of players on this aggressive push from St. Francis, now having to navigate all the way through CT. There's nothing really for them to save. Gonna have to, I think they have maybe one big Spectre between them. RPI, though, otherwise is looking pretty darn healthy.
Seeming like quite the all or nothing, again, as you mentioned, economy-wise, but RPI with that 5-man full rifle. They've got quite the chance here, especially with the fault line really pushing everyone back. Skies does have a bit of a teleport to work with here, but utility-wise, on SFU, we're looking at a bit of a risk here unless they're playing together. Which, here we go, the frags are coming in useful for them.
One big rifle you're going to pick up from the ground. Hawk is able to grab another. That's now St. Francis with just one player left. Scorch is going to try and walk away. They're going to get paranoid and then clipped through a box. That's just a good secure by Lord Bowling Ball, knowing that they don't want to allow St. Francis even the tiniest inclination of an advantage by picking up that rifle and saving some creds.
And we saw this last round as well, funnily enough, given the fact that they were trying to prevent on Bind any extra saves from SFU. We had seen them with the save sort of action, and I think it was Brimstone who also tried to save here, getting fragged off. And now they're doing it again. There's no mercy with RPI.
No reason to. Engineers are very stingy folk. I used to want to be one. I realized I cannot work my way into their coven. So, can RPI continue to protect their own? This is going to be our rifle round, our first here onto our third map. And St. Francis, they want to continue to stay undefeated in series play. And RPI looking for their first season win right now for the first couple of weeks. Owl Drone to go up and over any sort of issue. Or some of those cloudbursts and dark cover. They do clear one. Skies to be rendered done and dusted. And now a lot of trays as they're being surrounded on all sides here on A.
Oh, and that plant coming down. They have quite the numbers here. Possibly with a flank or a multi-dimensional hit could actually help. Again, no flank here, sort of eliminating that part. Doodle's gotten slightly damaged, but being able to drop down in a double. Not quite enough utility to pull it off unless Doodle plays Sentinel role here.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Okay.
and that frag.
A lot of extra damage. Doodle, they are tagged up though, and that's not going to be where they want to be, out in an open window. Jumping away into sewer, and so this is a tricky situation. Have to come back to RPI though. It's no tricks, no glam, all substance and math. As they calculate out I nearly said San Francisco, but St. Francis's re-entry. I mean, there were some gateways for entry there, but I mean, they're able to tie this one up in the first 4.
It was a really unfortunate missed opportunity from Doodle because Doodle had those 2 smokes quite, online, quite frankly, and being able to get that frag, get those smokes down to really cut off corners, being able to double swing with Dig, getting those smokes off so that they're only finding that one set of people, even if they're just playing high-low impressively like RPI was doing. If those smokes could have come in hand, they could have had a bit of luck there.
Yeah, but that luck doesn't completely pan out for them as This one does blend itself into an eco, and we are on 6 separate people, one step away from that many ultimates also being online. So you see them kind of gathered together, see how squished St. Francis is over onto A and maybe onto B. It's these long positions with nothing but sheriffs in hand. They want to kind of squeeze it into close quarters combat, but then that would open up full auto salvo. That's a big hit. As Hawk Frost does get rid of their twin, and Doodle, who's really been one of the biggest playmakers for the side of St. Francis. And so now all you got, well, into this 4v3, you got a lot of guns facing you down. RPI looks to be the aggressor.
Huge frag to be able to get that attack entry down as well. Duelist is duelisting. Now that spike coming down, smokes to cut it off. Really impressive how controllers are able to merge into that sentinel role when people like Cypher really just get those trap wires down for information inevitably. Flexibility in roles really comes into play here.
Get the Rolling Thunder sent out simply because they can, and that's going to be an ultimate that's used early and often. Scorch sent to the dirt. Dig may do the very same. Quick clicks, maybe a chance into this 1v1. Stevatron at distance, they can't tag him, so they're going to have to just creep on up. Oh, Stevatron scares Skies straight out of their shoes, and Skies recognize they didn't have enough time to do it. Man, RPI, they lost pretty much everyone except Steve, but they still got the round.
And again, that round deficit, again, it's very close cut, but I keep mentioning it because the sheer mental Valorant is chess. When you're thinking about checkers here, and keeping that pressure in mind for SFU and RPI, it's going to be heavy decision making that you have to be keeping an eye on. Now that we have a 3-2 ratio of online ultimates, it's going to be something to keep an eye on. You've got the Breach right through with the ultimate, and you've also got RPI with Hunter's Fury. Now we're coming straight through with right through, off the rip, fault line, but attempting to entry.
Trying to get that quick flash point through the mid box, but you have a counter flash point that can be used. Stevatron is going to try and keep good looks from out in mid, and they're actually thinking better of running straight down C. Maybe not the safest thing to do, even if you got this operator, but Hawk Frost has been hitting some of their shots. Cyber Cage will be employed to at least give them a freer look, maybe navigating into mid, and B is going to be that audible. Spike's still straight around window. You do have Dig just down A long, but that's going to be the big pick they could run off of. You see them navigate out. They could continue to turn this one. They may actually rotate back to C.
Oof, but the time is not looking too great at the moment. They're on A. Going all the way back to C is just not looking like it in the books. And again, you've got Chamber down on long, just chilling alone right now. Again, playing back. Dig's getting absolutely fault lined with the operator in hand as well. I don't have a lot of leeway to play with to even get a frag down. They want to stay alive, but they're going to give it a shot. That's all that matters. As this attempt starts to come through, Aftershock as well, pushing Dig out of his spot.
Is no backup plan for Dig. No teleport away. The Rolling Thunder to just continue to keep them at bay. And that plant doesn't have enough time starting exactly now. Spike is in the wrong place, wrong time if you're RPI. And they're going to just keep their guns to themselves. Man, walk us through this one. Felt like they had just an idea to go to C, and they just took too much time looking at every option.
And that hesitation is something that's carried through across the maps, and it's possibly just something that comes, you know, new season, possibly new roster, as colleges start to rebuild here. Something to keep in mind. It could just be a level of trust between all the agents of each team, noticeably the engineers. So speaking of it here, you know what, that breach, usually the Rolling Thunder and the fault lines coming through from Tim were not quite enough for RPI to stay back.
They may try to hit it one more time. That operator still very deadly hands in Hawk. Doodle though, they have their Blade Storm online, active and up. Dig is gaining space, gaining ground. They're gonna be right outside that corner onto A main. It depends on really what gets swung out here first. We are one contact point away. one big pick that could be able to swing them from garage. You have the haunt. You have this camera that continues to take a selfie for Steve because he's got to make sure that puts up the content. Tim does get rid of Dig, and that's opened up a much wider lane for them to parade to A.
Again, you've only got the Fade posted on A, and the smokes are starting to come down. So, of course, RPI setting themselves up for success here as they begin to get onto side. Of course, this is an interesting smoke down long, but nevertheless, of course, it's from the opposition, so it makes quite a bit of sense, actually. A default plant going to come through. Hawkfrost, though, with that frag, it's not leaving St. Francis a lot of wiggle room.
And all the Bladestorm now gone. You have just a Nightfall. They really want to invest to it, but it looks like they're going to fault line, haunt, as well as paranoia, and not a single bit of that utility kit hits anything because they are covering this one from long onto A. A full survival of RPI engineers right now, as everyone from St. Francis is starting to really find themselves on the short end of a bad way. Skies wants to pick someone to be able to chase down, and they're able to at least get one as Stevatron drops to the dirt, but now you just have one left, and they actually have fully saved out. So, engineers able to devise a way to get onto site. It just took that one pick. Putting Dig away opened up so many options for A.
It's just that one opportunity again, as you're mentioning. But those ultimates still in line for RPI is something that's slightly concerning me coming to a close for this first half. So something they're going to need to have as food for thought. But again, we have a tour de force in from Dig, so it looks like they're going to make advantage of that one, especially on this econ. There we go, tour de force comes online. And RPI is posted towards C. It's something they haven't commonly done so far. But uh-oh, St. Francis looks like they're cooking on something here.
Gaining ground. They're going to go out into mid-space, and they're going to steal window. So now that means all eyes by RPI are waiting just around this corner. They have a stinger. They have quick movement. Will they be able to win? Right-click battle. No one checking corners. That's going to be another one. Stevatron puts out the neural theft, the cyber cage, and just waiting on anyone else to try and enter their way through. But lesson currently learned. Tour de Force is looking to be impactful as a total ultimate. It's just outside the garage, and it may be fist fighting a ghost. They have to have it with the snapshot, but Lord Bowling Ball gets them as they jump through window. Flawless, as RPI is not phased by the aggressiveness of the Red Flash.
What a round. Really keeping that quite snappy and reactive again is something that you really need on both teams. I mean, no matter what the side is, it's especially prevalent as something that you need for the defense side, so SFU should be honing on that one, but we haven't seen it quite as often, and RPI is taking more of the advantage of it. And again, Stevatron going for that extra lurk, having that the impact, as you said, but global impact is going to be more important for the flankers and the general lurkers to be able to be impactful from kills and in general as a team player.
Looks like they're going to get this ultimate over to their breach, try to put Dig off position, and that will give them at least a chance to get that Rolling Thunder online. If they can do so right here, that would give them a completely free entry wherever they want to go, mostly to C. Doesn't look like they prioritized it as of yet, though. They're going to look for options, recognizing that the operator is down in distance on C. St. Francis, not aggressive at all into this round. This is their buy round. Trying to keep RPI in front of them. Would love to encroach, would love to contain. They don't want to give up the weapons that they just bought. It looks like C through garage will be where they want to travel.
Ooh, and it's something we have seen pan out for RPI before at the start of this map. So hopefully they're coming back to old bases. Maybe with a new strategy this time, or sub-strategy if you will. Ooh. As a plant comes down, we get a straight annihilation from Stevatron. Ooh, but there's fallback on long. Oh, this isn't going to be great for them. 5-man going straight out RPI. Great to avoid Scorch right now, but this is going to be scary for them to take that control back on bomb. Ooh, this isn't looking too great.
Hunter's Fury and a Rolling Thunder. That is a bad time for everyone. And it will be both that get used. At least the Rolling Thunder, they may want to walk up into it. The fault line comes out. Everyone is stunned up. They're taking them down from garage. Tim and Bowling Ball laying them down heads. There's not enough time to get Mako a defuse. And so he's just going to walk away from it, but not before Stevatron has something to say. So RPI lose only one member in that fight. They've taken 3. And one big thing, We have seen 0 timeouts saved for a tech pause through the entirety of this series. You got to think maybe those start getting utilized here.
What a fight. You know, you had that thought, you know, that site control, this general space for RPI that they need to be able to stay attacking and then defending that bomb in the post plant. That left me scared. I mean, you had the Hunter's Fury and the Rolling Thunder online, and thank God for Tim on that side of RPI. But of course, SFU had full space of C. That was a risky play, especially if they didn't have ultimates.
Full confidence, though, hanging out in that cubby. It basically becomes a fortress of solitude at that point. So, you know what? I've got this giant ultimate, and I can be a very loud Swedish man. I can do whatever I want. So, 2 robotic arms. We're able to send a wave of terror and panic into the red flash. Yet they're not stealing any further space. They've actually given up C. You look, they have left all of 1 with Mako here, especially because they don't have much of a buy. So, majority on A, trying to read RPI's intentions, and so far that's been really tough to do any of that.
Ooh, and again, the camera to clear the angles. Definitely an impressive way to, again, off the textbook, get that utility down. Falling off that fight, we don't need to take that one. We're going alone. We've got time. But enough time is the question. Already people on site, though.
It's a party. They're here.
It's a party indeed.
Yeah.
We've got all that space now.
Yeah, all the smoke down, waiting for anyone to just kind of pop out, surprise them. It's a full 5v5, but SFU at a great disadvantage. The fault line. Dig trying to make room for Mako. If he can come through on it. That's actually a massive trade, but it's starting to favor RPI as they all enter through CT. Big shots by Doodle. They have to do it one more time. There's all of Stevatron. This one turning right the heck around. Stevatron in a 1v2. The spray. And now maybe just stick it. See what you got right in front of you. Keep sticking it. Oh, they steal it on a thrifty. Maybe come in just to be mad. Just to get a 4K. But Scorch with nerves of steel.
And that's what I'm talking about, with the space and the fallback on long, especially when that smoke came down from skies. That was game over for Stevatron. And that's what you got to be really careful in avoiding, especially. But RPI is still in the lead here, nevertheless. And now, alas, we have a full buy on both sides, so no eco interruptions like we had on Bind, for example. So hopefully we see a little bit of sunshine for St. Francis before the half swaps around.
Still a hefty deficit, though. RPI is basically everyone can buy their own operator if they feel like it. yeah, they all had 6 creds and more.
Don't jinx it.
St. Francis, they've got maybe a few hundred each. They can buy a soda at the next gala, but they want to have at least a little bit extra working into the next round. They desperately don't want to be behind. They want to even this one up. Fault line, hard press, putting a dark cover out. Maybe a quick flashpoint, and Mako's gonna try and turn the tides, make a swing, but they're turned into nothing but memory, neural theft. We're talking about the impact of a global ultimate like this one. They know that there's several people still on site, and they're gonna walk away.
Ooh, and this numbers deficit is something to be noting of. Reactivity of St. Francis isn't quite gonna be enough for RPI's strategy to go 3 B to A, and Stevatron going straight through the dome.
Nice repeat, wall bang by Scorch. It becomes
Last player
Stevatron.
standing.
Always Stevatron. It's always a cipher. No hat, just peanut head. They're going to just try and hang on to this rifle. They don't really need a save. They can afford more, and they actually, if they were to go and get some of those kills, would cause an irreparable amount of damage.
No hat buff, question mark.
It's so tough to shoot a cipher with no hat. That's for real.
Yeah, that's something actually. You got the brims, right? Oh, and that attempt. Nevertheless, a good one for Stevatron to be able to wait it out, get through, have that opportunity to hopefully send St. Francis towards A side instead. So, a noteworthy thing of the wait time for Stevatron to come through.
It's like St. Francis was posting up with us on their defuse. Sometimes you got to crack a few eggs to make a nice omelet. RPI, they'll have plenty of guns. We mostly have the same on the side of St. Francis. A lot of ultimates that are either online or ready to go. And on the attack, you do have the Hunter's Fury. That thing has not been used, not once. And I wonder how, just like hair trigger, the engineer is going to be at activating it.
It's hurting my soul. We should have had at least 2 ultimates come through from the Rye Master. We've got zilch.
Nada. Seeing Doodle backside though. It looks like we're going for yet another Sea Rush. Got that Blade Storm and Mako ready to take fights. Oh, that
Open
just
out Doodle.
And there it is. They're finally trying to put some electric storms in their face. Mako can't get their knife out quick enough to sidestep it.
There it goes. The cast is cursed again with the Rye Master finally coming online with the Hunter's Fury. But this 4v3 is something that's still winnable. Doodle comes straight out. Thank you for your service there, as Doodle and Mako really going through, getting those frags down on C.
The spike.
Covered that spike, and Dig is just kind of waiting. They've been outside of B, seeing if this rotation would come in from RPI. And they've got audible for both A as well as mid. Maybe this could be the sneakiest position ever because they could actually just swing back through garage. It does look like B is going to be primary. Dig is going to have to traverse outside of their teleport range. That means this is going to be very dangerous for anyone that wants to take him on. Rymaster caught unawares. Suddenly the power play stands up. The Prowler doesn't see much, but you have 2 entering from the west. Maybe Dig from the east. Oh, Dig just being a beast. Grabs 3. And St. Francis, they've been improving every game. They go 4-8, they go 5-7, and now we hit back to 6-6. We're dead even flipping halves.
Time is of the essence there, and they're trying to get onto B site. Going any other way, and you've really set yourself up for a bit of a risky shot there. But this 6-6 is not something that you would be unexpected of. It's something that we a clear-cut seeing has been the pattern across these 2 maps, and now the 3rd map coming through for this series. It's really clear-cut. They have been putting up a fight, both St. Francis and the engineers of RPI.
Gotta see if it's going to be a difference of the initiator. Rymaster, I talked a bit about him, and I don't want to mount too much responsibility on him. When that player is not hitting the same way, RPI fails. They did so well. I think they got like 24, 26 kills in that second game. And you have a Fade opposite of them, especially with this chamber. I want to see how St. Francis will activate going into this next round, or next half rather. You also have to be able to get through a very quirky Sentinel of this Cypher, and already Rymaster finding it with the Frenzy.
Oh, that dash away, but Doodle's still going to dedicate to that fight.
Mako.
And that double coming through. The magic powers still coming through for Mako with the 3K. 1 player left.
Cover the spike. They honestly could run away if they wanted to go to A, but
yeah.
they're gonna play. They're gonna play it for back because why not? Hawkfrost. They have more than enough damage on that Sheriff to hit him on just a clean snapshot. How swift will they be with it? Checking every single corner, very dutiful and very well measured. They're gonna have that fault line here outside of window. I think that's what Hawkfrost recognizes. They're gonna get stunned up before they get gunned up. The timing, they have no clue where they is. They're able to see him, still getting fault lined. Wow, clinics being put on by Mako and Dig to give SFU this first round.
Oh, RPI's one-man band defense was really smart there, as Hawk really just decided go across, take CT space back, and that timing was just unfortunate. Being able to get that 1 frag on whoever was lowest HP and then going for the next would have given that leverage to be able to win that round. But Hawkfrost really coming up there with the information, really at that advantage of let's go and adapt to this, let's go and take that space back that we need to.
Trying to prep for this next fist fight. You're gonna have at least 4, and then a fault line that could hit that sewer. It does look like it will try to slow him down, and does. At least haze up the old noodle for Scorch and the gang, but this is just going to be a fast plummet. Right clicks not coming out the better end of it. That's going to be a shorty and big trades. Only one left. Hawkfrost trying to run away. At least make this a tougher bonus than it has to be. Dig will get that final cleanup, but it's St. Francis. I mean, good read by RPI, making that as difficult as they could with what little they had.
Most certainly, and that's what I'm saying, you know? You have to be making the best of these situations where you don't have rifles, and being able to adapt off of that is going to be a powerful skill, especially in these small cut, not a lot of wiggle room in terms of rounds and deficits for both teams. You're going to have to think of something snappy, especially when you have common ecos for both sides. It's something you've got to consider for both sides either way. And these fast-paced environments even is something to really adapt to.
Now it's up to St. Francis. They're going to be operating on a 3/4. 3/5. 3/5 bonus. Fast math. Bad math. Especially from the caster. But RPI. Oh, ton of damage being put out. Brymmaster receiving the lion's share of it. Unfortunate for them. They do stay alive, though. Flashpoint will scare them away. It is spooky season for us and them. Dig gets a big clip. Tim will be dropped out, but immediately finding the trade. It's been Hawk who's been the most active so far for the Engineers. Scorch! Oh, and Lord Bowling Ball will come right back round.
I'd take a Reese's break. That was too much.
I feel you.
I mean,
Is that similar to a Kit Kat break? Like, you know?
You know what? That makes more sense. A Reese's break, a Kit Kat break, hey, it's all I had on the desk. But either way, that fast pacing really set the tone of there was a lot of fighting going on CT, and they're really trying to flip the script here, get that extra information. It's like they weren't too certain, even though we've seen quite a few CT fights so far, and it could be setting up either team for something to go on there.
RPI set to receive into our first rifle round. They don't really build off of that fault line. That fault line that's getting used early by the Engineers is more just like a, hey, you don't get to run out for free. You're going to get like a little headache. I kind of wish they would start comboing off of that. Maybe have someone peeling from sewer just to make use of it. But maybe that's also what they're doing. A bit of conditioning like, oh, this always happens. Doesn't matter. And then they might put someone there. So far, no dice. There was a lot of like footsteps on A, just all of a decoy, and they're presenting and now running it hard at C.
It's like that false sense of security. Here it comes as well. Lord Bowling Ball just completely off by the double fighting. And all of C's been taken by St. Francis.
Free sight, easy life, easy living. Fault line will at least make the, you know, Omen Boy dizzy. But the aftershock gets the tiniest bit of damage onto Doodle because they decided to tailwind straight into it. St. Francis is going to hang out from distance. Same sort of situation, but they're going to leave one behind. Doodle at mid-box. And that really could be a massive turning point. They don't quite get the flash guard. That cloudburst really serves as all of a distraction. They're right behind them. Rymaster had a chance, but turns into a flawless the other way.
Bro was just standing there. That even caught me off guard. Wow. He was just like, peekaboo, we're coming through here. Again, it's the Minecraft spider high-low. That's what I'm saying, alright? You gotta have that advantage ground-wise.
Look, the only thing that happens to me in Minecraft is a creeper comes along and ruins all of my hard work, okay?
Every time, man.
Every time.
Every time. I've been playing for years, and every time.
Yeah. I made an entire railway system that went around my like ginormous map. I made like a Twin Peaks thing. I'm like, I'm so cool.
Aww.
And then it just blows me up as I run at it. I'm like, oh, neat.
Why'd you run at it?
It's look, the cart was just going that way, and I was like, oh, get out of my way! And I was trying to shoot. Look, it's not my fault. All right. So,
I guess you've got it in common with the Valorant players. I see threat, I shoot it.
Look, nerf the creeper, okay? I refuse to
I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon.
Oh no. Oh.
Hopefully we get some sort of creeper explosion nevertheless at some point, because it's 1 minute left on the timer, and they got to make a decision fast. Hopefully we get some sort of creeper action on C now from what we're looking at. Doodle. Oh, I'm gonna get smoke and dash.
Ooh, trying to get their way out of there. Stevatron has not been as much of a variable to have to deal with at this point in time. Haunt comes through. They know someone's at least nearby. A few extra shots. The plan is done. But look at this. You do have Hawkfrost in the gang. They're going to try and make off of this flank. You don't really have much on the anti-lurk. You do have that one trademark, so that's going to give them away. They're going to try and double swing to it. They know they're just nearby. The paranoia comes out. They're going to be slowed down. Cloudburst to just give them a chance to check those corners. Maybe off the entry. Maybe one more, but Dig does the work. Gets rid of Hawkfrost, so the Blaze Storm will no longer be of issue. And Stevatron much the same. St. Francis looking very strong as they grab their 10th.
Ooh, looking like stakes are going to be pretty high here as RPI is losing a bit of that momentum, especially with the Econ being quite shot at the moment for them. And SFU with the 4 ultimates online, hopefully they're going to put their foot down and go, you know what, 10-7, we're keeping this advantage here. We're not going to get whiplashed and anti-ecoed, because it can be a common thing once you have this round advantage to just relax a bit, exhale a bit, and just go, you know what, let's play this by ear. It's something that they can't necessarily do. We're in 3rd map.
Really are. RPI, they're in a bad position. They're trying to not make their wallets even thinner. And I like that it was somewhat conditional. It looked like they were actually blending themselves into a sewer play. But Rymaster, this is their door. There are many like it, but this one is theirs. In a Bucky they stand, strong and tall, for anyone that wants from SFU to come through and ball. You know someone may be around the corner, they get rid of a Prowler and all because they got rid of the armor. Big wall bang, Rymaster's no more.
What am I casting with Dr. Seuss?
Yes.
that was quite... That's something I'm probably going to end up honing in on as well. But nevertheless, it is factual, and now it come through. Doodle without the Bucky, but is with Vandal. Picking up the Sheriff either way, question mark. As we're coming in this 5v3. The ultimates are online and ready, but fault line is what we pick. Hopefully they go towards CT with the neutral they have now. Ooh, bomb coming down. It's looking like they have quite a bit of space. They don't really need to be falling back here. They do have their ultimates. Monkey Man.
Ooh. Okay. Hawk in this position, they clothesline Dig. Oh, they were gonna be that necessary component. Scorch and Mako. Exactly what they needed. SFU. All right. Now RPI. We've seen them come back here, Crave. They've been in
We
this.
have seen them come back.
But I don't think it was at this deficit though.
That's a good point. But nevertheless, they have that force buy, and based on composition-wise, I think they just have to be considering. Okay, look, with 5 ultimates online for the attacker side, I think we have to bait out utility and go forward. And if they can manage to do that, they can start getting that advantage back. Because as defenders, they have to be reactive. They also have to be that balance level of, haha, we appear here, and now we need to get utility off of you so that you don't make us end up in a deficit for the bomb plant. Hopefully they can use that to their advantage.
Operators up in Dig's hands for the red flash. And if anyone would creep up, Doodle doing much the same though. They're gonna go all the way down Banana on A main. Who will peek? Who will get a little bit testy here out in mid? Because you know Hawk wants to go out there and kill. They're just waiting to be given the command. Tailwind is up, so they start going for the challenge. C seems to be the call for at least the time being, and they're just gonna sit in cubby, ready for anyone that wants to come up. Tim is going to put out a fault line. They're going to call for the rotation, and that's actually going to give the go-ahead for maybe them to take it out in mid. Running away with just enough time. The Nightfall and the Rolling Thunder Wombo combo comes in.
The Wombo combo indeed, and that's something you were asking for before, so I guess your wish was granted by the Caster Genie. And Stevatron got straight for that pick, and a Hawk following straight afterwards. It's that extra whiplash attempting here. As SFU's only 3 man left, and they've all been pushed down along. Not looking great here. Oh, and there you go.
That was great. Just control of the situation. You saw them like kind of prodding, poking at that mid position, and they just continue to say, all right, we'll navigate one way or the other. A ended up being the better position, and C was their crux. It was the fault line slowing them down, the call out, moving. You had all of one player for that Nightfall and that Rolling Thunder to go in effect. Had no idea for SFU how that would happen. And then no one getting affected it allowed everyone to come back on the site. RPI keeps this one up.
It's that one condition when limit testing that really allows you to take that advantage. By luck there, again, as you mentioned, that fault line really coming through to get that opportunity squared away. Ooh, Doodle pioneering that fight. There goes Hawk. No falling back this time for Hawk, but there is a dash ready on hand being used here. Just as we need as well, to really make sure that the numbers are being kept. You don't want to have that trade-off.
Doodle being given a new belly button. They're gonna have to really kind of think on the rest of this from the respawn timer. You do have some of that Cypher kit to help out Hawk as they're a lone wandering venture out there on A, but it will be B that SFU tries to crush it. That Aftershock, wow, there's a lot of breach utility. And now you also have the Hunter's Fury to lay some damage out there. RPI trying to ruin the Red Flash. Oh, but Skies can't take that fight. Digging Scorch on a couple of big trades, and then now it's Stevatron that falls down.
Ooh.
Defenders will take that one. They never got to plant the spike.
Look at you saying that RPI can't necessarily come back. Here it comes. They're really making sure of all that extra information. Everything in between, getting that util baited out. And again, that's what I'm saying with the limit testing. Being able to go, okay, this is the situation with utility on both sides. That limit test was an opportunity for both St. Francis and RPI to go, okay, look, this is what's happening. This is the utility we can push out. Here's what we're seeing. And that's, again, the fault line was part of that contemplation and the comeback. And the RPI is hopefully going to be able to keep that consistency up.
They have 2 rounds to go before they're fully caught up. Interesting position here. That St. Francis, if they were to lose the next 2, they'll be out of money. They'll have that loser cred bonus off of a streak. We're going to see how that really kind of pans out for them. Cloudburst. Oh no, getting tagged by the tripwire. Now Doodle being rendered unavailable by a Cypher. Lord Bowling Ball, good for a couple. And Dig is trying to be that long lurker. I don't know if Rymaster heard him before. That's a great position to ruin anyone that tries to come through. Didn't check your corners. The Frenchman be told to surrender. So now both teams at double digits RPI. Maybe I was wrong before.
I'm seeing something. Maybe you were wrong before, but I'm also seeing something about the corners not being cleared. But either way, it's something that we're seeing. Both teams, they have their little weaknesses and points, but it's 11-10. That's something to be thinking about here. In terms of Haven, you know, they're still not giving up a fight.
Not one bit. RPI been able to build themselves a nice little bank. They do have a Rolling Thunder. Opposite of that, you have the Tour de Force. Not going to get used just yet.
Maybe it's timeout time. Oh, Hawk again with the small corners and the operator.
We've been saying need for a timeout for a while, but these two teams have shown such good resiliency when it comes to being able to think on the fly and within the just sincere amount of seconds between each of these rounds. So honestly, like, it's been impressive. They've been able to operate.
It's a rare talent, right?
Yeah, being able to operate at this high level this long without any break to it, especially in those types of situations, has been so massive. And now, Stevatron right around the corner. No one getting rid of that util, and the trades are huge, especially for RPI.
Really substantial thing, especially in a team setting. Having that teamwork to be able to think on the fly, as you're mentioning, really going to be something that both teams are so good at here. Now we're looking at the walk-up for SFU. They're still anchoring around A, and RPI knows they're not rotating, so obviously time is of the essence. Oh, and there goes our second fight for the round half.
Well, they want, no matter what, to get a plant. They commit to the From the Shadows. Skies has been blinded, they've been stunned, they've been paranoia. There's at least a little bit of damage, and that is a mistreated Casper. Skies, I think, would have rather met the Ghostbusters than what RPI just threw at him.
Definitely should have been a cancel up there. Maybe it was an accident, but then again, you're planting solo without your team on such a time crunch. It's not going to look good for you in the books.
Yeah. Look at this situation. SFU, they force up into this. They're going to try. And this is really kind of a do or die situation for them. You will have a tour de force for Dig. That's 4 rounds in a row right now for RPI. Engineers have been crafting themselves a great way. And I think, oh yeah, they're going to be playing back. Not going to step up into the old Frenchman's operator. They got one encounter of their own. Hawk is going to take over this garage position. And that's been where they've been pretty much living the last couple of rounds. It is so tough to get around that just tight corridor with such a large weapon to walk through.
It's been across all maps, quite frankly, and I think it could be just a mere talent that is being honed in on. Ooh, and the silence is loud.
Mm-hmm. It's a cacophony of quiet. St. Francis trying to see if RPI will give up the golden goat here, but no. Gonna pick their poison, and they're gonna have at least their jet creep up into C. Can they get rid of that fault line jump peak? Bit of intel given. You're going to see that soft rotation, but it seems to be fully committed. The dark cover is committed to either side, and Doodle gets rid of Hawk. Operator off the table. No more toys for them to deal with. Doodle will stepping away. The fadeaway jumper to basically give them a freebie. Suddenly becomes a 5v3. The aftershock will come through. Some damage onto their fade. Scorch stays up.
Ooh, I think I've seen this film before. It's getting a little bit close on the rounds. As this 3v3 evens out. And Scorch really keeping that even up behind their toes. And Doodle! Wow, I'd be yelling at Scorch right now, quite frankly.
You know, they took care of business in garage. That's what mattered the most, right? They got rid.
They got their one.
They got their one. Lord Bowling Ball was no more. They were in the gutter, and all of a sudden, SFU, was it just for the content? They stopped the streak by RPI, and now they're on series point.
Ooh, but is this going to go to OT once more, and are we going to see 14-12? Or perhaps we'll see a rerun of a 40-round extravaganza on Haven this time.
This one has been such a close match. A very difficult affair. Our producer is saying, please no. A massive fan of the red flash right now. Hawk has navigated from out of garage, and they've upgraded to having an apartment out on C main.
There.
RPI, very disciplined. They're not going for any early picks, and same thing with SFU. They're waiting, biding their time for where they want to go.
Letting the lunchbox just sit and grow some legs in the meantime, hopefully. Oh, Skies has no faith in those legs growing anytime soon, as 1 minute remains on the clock. And that attempt towards a bomb hit, it's going to leave SFU in a crunch. It's not going to be looking too good. If they don't make a hit in the next 10 seconds, which is going to be unlikely, it's not going to be something that's going to be necessarily viable, especially with the lack of ultimates in comparison to RPI. But alas, his Aftershock is ready to be online with Tim. Oh, and site's being entered! Monkey Man!
Crashing on in. They're going to break down the doors. They're going to use giant hammers to do so, but maybe a Cypher with Stevatron. They have the Neural Theft out. Plant will come through, but Doodle's down. Blaze Storm active, online, faster, quicker, stronger. Rhymaster is too. It is a 1v4. Make them no more. Tim clears the sky. Oh, you brought it out. OT time. It's right here.
Oh no, I hope I didn't curse it again. Uh-oh. Either way, though, it exactly panned out how we had imagined it, right? Because SFU, especially just hitting B in general, is going to be rather difficult when SFU has a bunch of numbers that were spaced out in a reactive manner so that you had partial C, partial A, so you could hit both links. And having enough utility, Tim was ready to go on the fly with the online utility of the Aftershock to get that plant down, get those flashes through and enter site. So while RPI did have that advantage to take through, and were ready to hit B, not only was time of the essence there, but of course, SFU was just in a position to take B so easily because of its positioning on the map.
Yeah, it just feels like, especially because you have that breach just being so strong, especially with mid-box on B.
On Haven, yeah.
Yeah, you'd want, like, you don't want to play it to A because of that overwatch that you have from window, but because of B and the density of it, it's rough. So, big spray. Lord Bowling Ball already clears dig.
-22.
Yeah, he was caught jump peeking from right outside onto that fault line. So Mako is going to try and be in a safety position. He's paranoid, blinded, and the only thing he's not is stunned. Able to get one kill on the swing. Nice X-ray on a haunt. Mako waiting for the reswing. He's got all of 6 bullets, which means they've got to count. The aftershock will be utilized to slow them down again. But Stevatron is finally able to clear the Swede from off-site.
Oh, the crosshair was right on Stevatron. Skies! It's a 1v1.
Oh, he doesn't know!
With the teleport. Oh, look at that timing. Now we're coming through 50 seconds left.
Gotta guess. Omens only share 1 neuron. Oh, and he doesn't get the kill! He stopped shooting, thinking it was already done. Right around the corner with a shorty! Lord Bowling Ball! RPI! Both these teams, depending on their ghosty boys to make a big play. And they thought the job was done. Skies stopped shooting, but left with just a few HP in the back pocket. And Lord Bowling Ball comes up huge.
Talk about a false sense of security. Oh my lord. I feel for Lord Bowling Ball and Skies there.
Wow.
Oh, that was just pure resilience from both sides. I mean, they put up a fight, and we've been seeing that from every single player as we come through. And Hawk Frost is just going for the operator. You know what? Respect to you. Let's see how we have it panned out.
No one wanting to test mid-window because of the possibility of that. We've seen it be such an impactful weapon in the hands of Hawk. So why test fate or garage or mid? Simply run at A. They're actually going to retreat. That forces the full rotation by RPI. This actually could be able to gain them so much territory, so much ground. St. Francis is trying to just sprint their way over to C, get there as quickly as they can before all of RPI notices.
Ooh, but this conga line isn't looking too strong for them with Jet on the back line. Coming on the forefront finally, but again, this rule of priority in this conga line on who's taking what fights, who's getting what utility down next. It's something that they need to correct now in this post plant now. Oh, and they're doing it pretty well. Doodle and Skies coming through.
Wow, Doodle went straight into the dark cover. No fear. All ice. Ready to go. Hawk has a giant weapon, but not a lot of movement that they can provide to it. Trying to be able to quick snapshot onto Dig. Now Stevatron versus 4. It's a tough re-entry for anyone, especially a Cypher that really doesn't have the utility to make it work. They're going to get shot up from every angle. And it's going to be Mako that finds the cleanup. We find double OT for the first time today. SFU snaps back.
Ooh, and we're keeping up these fights pretty well. Once again, as I'm saying, but that crucial part again with the movement of Hawk Frost, that's your limitation with the ARP. It's really crucial to have that Jet online in comparison to Raze on maps like Haven. Of course, you've got your combo utility you can have from Raze and Fade, but in general, that movement, you need to pick up a Vandal there, and that's going to leave you, especially in OT, in a fast-paced environment of a retake. It's not going to leave you a lot of leeway. I mean, if you're playing back on attack, it's a little bit easier, but in this case, that fight needs to be really quickly evaluated.
You got SFU trying to find that first step forward. And look how they've leaned more towards C. They've recognized that RPI has been enjoying this kind of just full frontal sight hit down long. B's the tendency right now. Hawk Frost, tip of the spear. They can find an initial pick. They'll run straight behind them. They may do so on marching orders anyway from the good old Jet. Skies putting out at least a few extra bullets, and now it's going to be Skies that has to walk away from the Aftershock nearly too late on their teleport. Cyber Cage is going to get used. Aftershock will go down, but so will the spike on its plant into the full 5v5. Oh!
Now things have quieted down, but the numbers and the advantage have evened out. Oh, and here comes this retake. Now they have all the space of the bomb. Oh, is this playback going to work for RPI?
Love shock darts. It's a bit early. Operator, opposite end. They're actually coming in through the big flank. Becomes a 1v1. Hawk Frost just outside of B. And they have a great spray position. You don't even need to aim when you know to just shoot the gap. Hawk Frost, again, gives RPI the advantage.
Huge with that pre-fire, especially to be able to take advantage of that, is something that people aren't doing, especially when dedicating to a fight and evaluating. Risk evaluation in general is going to be something that's going to be crucial. And seeing, again, it's refreshing to see this evaluation and evolution both teams are taking fights. And now we're coming into the almost third half of OT. Looking like, again, we got a full force, so that's at least some sense of security that you get from the OT. But that doesn't dismiss the high pressure that we have now. So we have people leaning heavily towards A. Again, Lunchbox is trying to grow legs this time.
Biggest thing that we're seeing right now, especially into this particular round, they recognize the viability and lack thereof of an operator. No one has an operator right now, even Hawk. They knew that there wasn't enough dynamicness that they could be able to get back on the site, and they just aren't confident about it. Put a Vandal in their hands. Get them moving a lot more often. This initial fight may be happening down in sewer. Dig just trying to look at it to ramp. As Hawkfrost is lone venturer. They do have someone with a bit of Overwatch, but Hawkfrost with eyes in the back of their skull. That's a massive pick to keep SFU on their heels.
Oh, and this is something you got to be careful that you don't get traded off on. In order to have this advantage, maybe RPI is going to be able to close this off, question mark. Especially with the reactivity and the positioning, not being at an off-level center, knowing that SFU is not going to come back over to A, so there is that adaptation based on that pick heaviness. But we've got the bomb just sitting over on mid, somewhat solo, trying to get through to garage. Oh, there's some action going on here now. As Marco is trying to help out with the bomb, still sitting around garage coming through. Oh,
outside.
my man, it's looking risky.
You got the cam, and cyber cages are out. Stevatron walks straight through. They get a 3, the 4th! Oh! Coming up huge, right around the gadgets. Electricity running straight through their veins. That's going to be double OT done. RPI engineers. They just find a solution. They get it done. Stevatron continued to be a creator. There was moments where they did not shine the same way they did in previous rounds. And in fact, a 1v4 that, they really couldn't finish off on that first OT. But when it mattered the most, stepping through that cyber cage, you cannot mess with a Cypher that's working around their own gadgets.
Everyone's got their own times where they manage to shine, and it really happened throughout this series tonight. And that's really applaudable for both teams. They managed to bring out their own unique skill. They came out of that textbook situation that I'm always trying to look for, especially in collegiate Valorant, and it's something that you got to just give hats off to.
Man, Stevatron, there was times where they kind of disappeared and they really went down the gutter, but that one, they just need them to be there the most. So shout out and congratulations over to RPI as they're able to find their first series win of the season. They suffered an 0-2 going into the previous week. This time around, it was sweaty. It was a wild one, Crave. And I think that we may even have an interview with a player to talk to them about it. Any last thoughts before we take a break trying to look to that?
Nah, you know what? I mean, it's been quite the series, as you mentioned. Coming to the third map, it's something that, again, giving hats off to these teams is going to be that significance you have to be watching out for, especially people take different aspects of each scene for granted. You've got your collegiate, you've got your VCT level, you've got your game changers, and you're just going to be noticing everyone brings their own skill set to the table, and this is something to really keep an eye on, no matter what scene you're watching.
Gotta see who shines the brightest, but we'll be back in just a moment. Gonna see if we got an interview right after this. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Hail Monkey Man in the booth alongside Crafe. You just got to see an awesome ECAC action between RPI and SFU Red. Well, guess who won? It was RPI, and we have one of the heroes of that awesome team from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Tim decided to travel all the way over here to have an awesome interview with us. So let's bring him on in. Tim, congratulations. Team was looking fantastic. A bit of longer matches. I mean, looking at it, how was the preparation going from week 1 to week 2 and dealing with these matches?
So for preparation, we kind of like changed up the roster a little bit. So like previously, I was kind of like more of like a coach, but now I decided to like play this week, and then we also tried to improve like mainly our comms and our like coordination as a team because we're still a pretty new team. I think that's our biggest issue so far.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty evident that you guys were trying to persevere, and that was really impressive as well. How you managed to continue fighting and obviously winning this series. So, how did you guys necessarily hone in on persevering? You didn't really make any timeouts, and obviously nor did the opposition. So, how did you make sense of that?
Yeah, so we kind of just tried to like adapt on the fly, kind of pick up on like what the other team is doing and any specific tendencies, like with like any like sort of util combos and like what they usually would do after that. Yeah.
I mean, it was working really well. And obviously, you're a big proponent for success. You got 6 first bloods, a ton of elims. And I mean, at this point, everyone was getting as many elims as they could with as many overtimes as we got to see. But I need to know any big shout outs that you want to be able to give yourself, your friends, your fam, maybe some of the squad or even the school, anyone out there that you guys can give some of this credit to.
So I think mainly my boy Ryan Master, I got to give a lot of credit to him. He IGLs for the team, and he's usually a pretty good performer for us. And I guess the team in general, they all played pretty good today. The comms are a lot better than last week, which I noticed, which definitely helped us win this week.
Being able to keep communication, being able to do great things. Tim, you guys able to get a win on the board. We wish you luck going in next week.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Well, Crafe got to have a very long match, a lot of OTs. Any kind of thoughts that reminisce into your mind from everything that we saw?
Ooh, you know what? Gotta agree. It's a bit of a long match, 11 o'clock here on the East, but it was one, again, that I had mentioned they had put up a fight, and it's very impressive to see how they had gone, number one, outside of textbook range. They had differed their way, and both teams were getting kill ranges between the timelines, especially within round specific. And just generally, the compositions were really impressive. I mean, we'd seen the Rainers, we'd seen the Fades in place of the Sovas, we'd seen the Sages, the Double Sentinels. We had an experience to get that full spectrum of Valorant entertainment, if you will, and that is something to really keep an eye on. Again, it's refreshing to see how Collegiate Valorant has come back for this 2023 to 2024 academic season, and it's something to look forward to here in just week 2 of many.
Hey, it's going to be a long season. We hope that all of you do stick with us, and maybe someone eventually will play Yoru. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but for the time being, we're going to wish you a wonderful good night. We have awesome Coltoon as well as Cool Scoots who are running the production as well as Observer. And of course, Crafe, thank you so much for casting with me. It was a wonderful privilege to be able to hang out with you in the booth.
You know what, likewise, especially with the stuff in the green room, so hopefully we get to see each other again soon.
It'll be a fun one. You guys stick with us, but actually we'll see you tomorrow and onward. Rocket League and Overwatch and everything else that you want to be able to see here on Esports. You were fantastic. You have a great night.
instead. That's nice to see. So even though we haven't seen North Georgia really be able to march forward with a lot of convincing attacks, at least the backline up until now has been secure. Can't get the read on the bounce, and that's finally our first goal. 10 seconds to go for Kennesaw trying to close this one out.
Yeah, still with the pressure here from Kennesaw. Now only our second demo. This one from downtown, and that's going to be an own goal here at 3 seconds. We spoke a little too soon here, Danger Talk. Slavip left side, little tap, not really taking away possession. Now definitely does. Display going up, the double tap. Hugh Dog and North Georgia come from behind victory with the Puma symbol on the side.
As we have seen many time with new rosters in the beginning of the semester, this might be the first time these players are really playing together at all. So this is really setting the tone for how you guys all click together. Kwong trying to bury one here on the near post, and he does just that. Better. Might be able to pad those stats. Kwong throwing it right back in. That should be open, but it's just wide instead.
Almost gets the nose down onto it. A couple members fighting, twisting, and now an open net the other way going for North Georgia. Nobody's almost hitting payload. Now is Joel. A little soft hit right there. Kind of just puts it in the breadbasket of a couple North Georgia players. That's really, really bad as this one comes all the way down from the other side.
Being able to con the defense out of a clear that gets you the ultimate goal as we